Bandidos, we are live, TGIF. It's Friday, September 8th, just after 7:30 p.m. Stream from the Pacific Northwest. Getting started a little late here today. Appreciate you guys hanging around for this wonderful stream because I'm going to showcase 3 really cool weapons you're not using, and I really think you should.
Fight one. What's one view? 501. Ain't too many kids bang with us. Fight one. What's one view? 501.
What up, Bandidos? We are live. Welcome back to another build lab. And today we're going to be showcasing weapons that aren't new to the game, but that you're probably sleeping on because we all get distracted by those shiny new weapons and we overlook some of the greats, some of the all-time greats. And so I got one for 3 different classes. So we're going to be looking at the assault rifle class, the SVD, and then also ASVD, not the SVD, and a shotgun. So 3 weapons that are really good that you could run today, easy to farm, easy to create builds for. So yeah, the PTS is also going on in other news right now, and it's going to be running until the 11th. So it's a short PTS, but that's because it's really just the weapons and the new gear that we're going to be reviewing. Unfortunately, I don't get to review them directly or showcase them directly for you because it's a PC only thing, which kind of sucks. But there's some technical issues around that with Microsoft, and that's the reason why.
Any geek off the street. Gotta be handy with the steel.
Maria Lewis is in the house. Appreciate you, Maria. Welcome to True Bandidos. Right on. And you get yourself a fancy skull. Please enjoy. And by the way, if you are in Tux's Players Club, like Maria now is, welcome, Maria. Please head on over to my YouTube homepage, and there is a members channel right at the top playlist. There's a members playlist on my channel right at the top. And so you can peruse through there and check out all the stuff that are your perks as a thank you for supporting me and this great cause we call the Division 2. So yeah, we were talking about the PTS just a minute ago in chat, and one of the things we were discussing was the new SMG, which is sort of the talk of the show right now, and it's going to be behind the incursion, which is never usually too much of a deal. So it's a quest of some sort, and the incursion is coming with season 2, so you'll be able to play it right away. But it's a good idea. We've talked about this in the past. Excuse me. It's a way to entice players to at least try the new game mode and not to avoid it and hopefully get hooked on it. So fingers crossed it's gonna be a good game mode. But the SMG is the talk of the show. They put it on the tactical vector, which is actually a really, really good SMG. I use it and I love it. If you want to build for it right now, I got one for you. It's that one that's called Kill Them So Fast They Poop Their Pants, that SMG build. It's pretty amazing. Great way to run that SMG. And it's like one of the fastest weapons in the game. It basically is the fastest weapon in the game, all on its own without any buffs. And then it's kind of got a small mag. I think they did buff it. So they put 50 rounds in it. So that's pretty cool. They took one of the fastest SMGs in the game and put 50 rounds in it. So the thing is, it gives you like the status effect if you get status affected. And we were talking about how kind of broken it is. Because I thought in my head, can you just status yourself? You know, because I'm not able to test it. And so I was asking the people in the PTS that are in chat, and they were like, yeah, you can status yourself and get the ammo. So, and it sounds silly, but you see, once you get the ammo, you can bank it because it doesn't expire. So, you know, go to a safe house, walk right out the door, status yourself, get your ammo, and, you know, you're good to go. Then you bank the SMG, right? And then use your other SMG and then swap between the two as you need it. SMG swap pretty quickly. And so you could also work it in with versatile, which is a very strong backpack talent, and give that thing some oomph. But they didn't give it any more power, and you normally would run a damage talent with that thing. But because they gave it a bigger mag, I think that's all right. We'll see. But some cool, interesting things, right? The chest piece looks pretty cool. The new LMG looks pretty cool. The gear set looks pretty cool too. It seems a little one-dimensional, but it's pretty cool. And yeah. So hey Corporal, I just put out that video. Actually, you should check that out. How to farm exotics. I just put that out the other day on my channel. It talks specifically about the St. Elmo's, but it's the same. Here, I'll drop it for you, since we're on the subject. There you go, corpse. All right, so shall we take a look at what we're getting into today? Okay, let's start with the first build. So it's not so much the build. I mean, I'll give you some build ideas, but we're really focusing on the weapons. Okay, so today what we're going to start off with is looking at the ACR-E. And we mentioned this the other day in chat, and so it kind of inspired me to break it out and swing this into the circuit. And so if you didn't catch on, I'm putting out a new series that's already been running for several weeks now. It's called Meta Break. And so it's where I'm encouraging you or showcasing other weapons that are really good. And so you can take a break from the meta, which right now is the St. Elmo's, right? And use these other weapons to make sure you're diversifying your gameplay and really, getting the most out of your time invested in this game and getting to enjoy experimenting. And so these are good weapons that you would expect to get top tier performance out of. The same performance basically you'd get out of the St. Elmo's or whatever your typical assault rifles meta is. They play a little bit differently, of course, but you're going to get the same results in the end. So the ACR-E, what's really unique about it, and I'll showcase this actually, we'll go into the testing range because it visualizes nicely, but it's an extremely stable assault rifle with a high base damage. And so it's not the highest in the game, but it's on the higher end. But the thing that's amazing about it, okay, is let me take a deep shot here, is that when you shoot, there's basically no recoil. You see that? There's basically no recoil. So you're talking about amazing shots on target. So when you random fire, it obviously looks like shit, but it's basically there's no bounce on the weapon, and so your shots it's really easy to control on target, right? And so we did some extensive testing several seasons ago on all the assault rifles. And one of the the objective was to have the most power at the deepest range. And the deepest range in this game is at 100 meters. So that alone takes out a lot of assault rifles. They can't meet 100 meters just off of their damage drop off. Well, usually a lot of them drop off at like 80. So this one, as you can see, has a smooth slope all the way to 100 meters. So, and that means you can run this with Ranger. And if you haven't tried Ranger, then you should, because it's really good for assault rifles. It's amplified damage, and the deeper the enemy, the better. And particularly in legendary content. So in legendary content, they play deeper. And you do too. And so even if they rush you, they always kind of fall back, and the next thing you know, they're like 35, 50 meters away, right? So it's crazy. And so Ranger really helps there. And it also works great with the scope. And so I like running it with the scope. That's optional. I'm not building around the scope in this setup that you're seeing here in a minute, but I just put the scope in for an extra 30% headshot damage. And the reason why, because again, of how stable it is. And so it's just like that allows you to hone in on the head and basically get 100% accuracy, right? And this weapon, I'm not sure, I haven't used it in a while, but it should have a really good capability to stagger the enemies. So we'll see. But yeah, so really good, really fun, and you're gonna feel like an accurate king with this thing. So notice the stability rating there. It's got 2-second reload. I got damage armor on mine. And then I guess I'm running Optimus. I didn't actually change that. I mean, I guess I can keep it. I don't know. I'll think about that. Steady hands is another way to go, but it's already steady. That might be overkill. So otherwise, I just kind of slapped together a 4-piece striker for the moment. I might change this depending on how it feels out there. So because we're going to kick this off with just doing some heroic content. And I normally run this for legendary, this gun, because it's a really good fit because of how stable it is, and it allows you to, again, get those headshots and break weak points really well. And so I'm running the Memento. Otherwise, I just got crits here, and so I got the Memento for its typical stuff. And that's because I'm gonna try out the named Perfect Spotter chest. So this is the closer. So we got the is it closer or closer? What do you think? I kind of have a feeling it's closer. Anyways, Perfect Spotter amplifies weapon damage, so 20%. And so the other way to go would be to put on a Pristine Example. This would be the strongest version of this build, but I'm not doing that right now because I want to show you guys what it looks like if you don't run the scope. And so the difference is just the 30% headshot damage, which is a good chunk of damage, and that's why I like it. It's worth it. But either way, you can still keep the chest piece, and it's important to note if the weapon accepts the laser pointer or not, because that gives you some really good amplified damage just right off the bat. You know, so what up, Xander? What up, Matt? What's going on, boys? Squad in the house. Right on. I see you, Kool-Aid. I'm reading your message. Which gear set are you talking about? Ongoing directive. You know, the new gear set. Oh, Division 1 Firecrest. Yeah, I know what you mean. Division 1's Firecrest, maybe. The truth is, I left the Division 1 before they came out with gear sets. So I didn't have it. I don't recall, at least, having any experience with the gear sets. Yeah, so, you know, my story on the Division is I jumped into the Division pretty much right away. I really liked that game. It was amazing. And then, you know what? And I even remember the Police M4 in that game being one of my favorite things, right? But in New York was great, and the snow and the weather. The streets felt quite empty, you know? And I think that's how the early game was, right? The streets were quite empty. And you know, you do all your missions. You did all your missions. Just a long time ago, right? That was 8 years ago. So, and then, you know, I went in the dark zone. That was a really poor experience. I remember going to the dark zone. There'd be somebody standing right at the door. They'd kill you right away. And you're like, what? Dumb, right? And so same shit happens nowadays, right? So that's the same old PvP experience in the Division 2, Division 1. Anyways, and so I played the game. I loved it, but, you know, just like everybody else, it just kind of died for you, right? Like it got repetitive. And then, but it didn't take them long. I think it was like, what, 6 months? And then they came out with a new game. But by that time, I think I'd switched over to whatever I was playing at the time. And so, yeah, and then it's hard for me to go back to games. I'm not typically that guy. Even with this Division 2, like I'm gonna play it until it plays, until it's officially abandoned. You know what I mean? Because I'm not one of those people, and a lot of other content creators are, right? Like there's a lot of content creators that we're covering on a daily basis, and they're not covering at all. But you see them pop back in just to do a review, and then they'll play a couple of season missions or whatever, and then go back to Destiny or whatever else they're playing. But yeah, I'm not that guy. You know, I just if I leave the game, it's gone. You know, I guess I'm kind of dramatic that way, or what do you call it? What's the word I'm looking for? Extreme, all in, you know, kind of personality. What the fuck? Where'd you guys come from? You seen that? Oh, that's amazing. So anyways, yeah, so I missed out on some of this stuff. So I didn't get to see, that's a lot of fire out there. Oh, there's another guy behind me. Fuck. I hate when they start off like this. Fuck. I just kill myself faster. Yeah, so I missed out on Underground too. And so, but they lost me. They lost me. You know what I mean? They lost me. And that sucks because, you know, I heard good things about Underground, you know, still do to this day, right? People still play. I appreciate you, Kool-Aid. I'll check that out. Yeah, you know, they've been bringing some of the great stuff from Division 1, right? Like the Ninja Bike backpack was one of those things. So it's not uncommon for the devs to do that. You know what game, like there's lots of games that lose me. One of them was Battlefield, you know, 2042, whatever it's called, whatever the year is on that one. Forget. I mean, I played, you know, a couple of different sessions, like 2 or 3 sessions, 3 or 4 sessions, days, basically. And, yeah, it just didn't sell me. It didn't sell me, you know? And I never went back. So I basically bought the game, spent whatever, $60 on this game, played it maybe 10 hours, you know, never played it again. But I'm you know, I'm a book by its cover kind of guy. I really am. Like, I have to have a good first impression, you know. And Starfield almost lost me, you know. It really did. Speaking of first impressions, like when I first played Starfield, I was like, you know, it was cool, the space thing. That was pretty impressive right off the bat. But gosh, you know, when I think a lot of you were there on my first stream when we went to this planet and we were just going around farming minerals, and part of that was just like me being probably a little bit lost in the game. Like, what am I supposed to be doing right now? And I didn't know any of the menus or the mechanics or anything like that. That all had to be learned. But either way, it starts off really slow and it almost lost me. I mean, I was just like, man, this is boring. This sucks. Really? I'm gonna go to all these planets and just go around farming fucking minerals? You know what I mean? This is stupid. And it almost lost me. And about 6 or 7 hours in, it really opened up. As a matter of fact, I haven't farmed and done any mining, space mining since. I mean, it's just like, it's a completely different game than what I experienced in the first several hours. And so like the Division 2, so like when I jumped into the Division 2, it was really good right off the bat, just like Division 1 was. And then something, it drug out or something like that. I can't remember. Got complicated or whatever, or it just got outshined. I don't know. I can't remember. But Battlefield 4, I think, came out, and it took me. And I went and played Battlefield 4 forever. So I left in like TU Title Update 4, 4 or 5 in the Division 2. And then I eventually did come back, though, obviously, because here I am. So that's a rare thing. But, and I don't remember why. Actually, because that is pretty rare. I think I had taken a break from gaming altogether because I was just like busy with work and shit like that. So I think that's why I came back, is because I was like, oh, I'm back. You know, what game do I already own? And I think that's so sort of a luck circumstantial situation that brought me back into Division 2. I might have been missing out on all this shit, you know, if that didn't happen. You know, I don't remember exactly though, but something brought me back. And it wasn't Warlords in New York. So when I came back, I remember all the gear is different. So they revamped all the gear. So that was about TU6. And so I think I had missed 2 title updates, basically. Came in on the second one. And so all your gear was gone. You had scrapped, you know? Well, it wasn't scrapped, but it had new definitions, you know? Like, I think the Rail Splitter was my favorite gun at that time, and it had perfectly measured on it. And then it didn't, right? Now it has perfectly accurate or whatever. So yeah, everything had changed in the Division 2, and I came back, but they almost lost me to Battlefield, because Battlefield was one of the best Battlefields ever, right? Battlefield 4, you guys remember that? Sick. Such a good game. And of course, I was a sniper in that game too. You guys know me. So, a lot of fun, and but I'm glad I came back to the Division 2, and you know, I didn't get into Warlords in New York right away, so my watch could be probably a little bit higher than what you see, so about 12,000. It could be. I think that if I had jumped into the Warlords in New York right away when I came back, because it was out or came out soon after, I'd probably be 3,000 or 4,000 more on my watch. But I don't like just jumping into games. I'm sure a lot of you guys are the same way. I'm kind of a cautious player. And so I stick to developers and titles. You know what I mean? So because I've been let down by games, and I know what I like too. And, some games seem really good on the surface, but there's so many crap games out there. Like, how did you even get approved for Xbox? Like, who are you, developer? It's like a copycat game, like, a copycat Call of Duty, a copycat, a sniper game. You know, they take a, you know, whatever, the sniper this, and it's just like, it feels so cheap, bad acting and bad immersion. You know, might as well be a phone mobile game. Hold still, dude. This isn't happening. You actually perform better with this weapon if you hold your ground, because yeah, you got to take, you want to take advantage of its steadiness. You know, I'm just a mover. I just want to ants in my pants. But. So yeah, I'm cautious, and so I didn't jump into Warlords in New York right away. And I asked around for quite a bit. Hey, what do you guys think of that new Warlords in New York? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? You know, how do you feel about it? And basically, obviously, it's worth it because you, at some point, your game just you can't progress. But at that time, it wasn't such a big deal not to progress because the progression didn't offer much, but just the Warlords at the time, right? The expansion, the direct expansion, New York, and a few, maybe the Lady Death, but nothing else was really there. You know, you didn't have all these game modes and exotics and other things that some of which you can't get unless, here, I'll park it for a while so you can see this thing work. Some of which you can't get unless you own the expansion. Yeah, so, you know, yeah, so I'm cautious, like, and I've made some mistakes, you know, like Elden Ring got really good reviews and got intriguing, but the reality is like, I mean, there are certain, you know, like wizards and 3-story colossal enemy type games that I will play. There's a few out there, you know, I can't think of them at the moment, but it's sort of not my thing, you know. I mean, and they're okay. There's nothing wrong with them, but you know, the Divisions. I like the whole faction and realism along with the type of enemy. Well, I mean, I know we always make fun of it because of how much of a joke they are, right? Because sometimes they're ridiculous, but the reality is they're pretty good. They designed these NPCs really well, really well. And any other game I play, I mean, even Starfield, I mean, NPCs feel so much like NPCs. Stereotypical, you know? With their facial expressions and movements and, you know, little details. Get out of cover, dude. Speaking of that, let's give him a EMP pulse. I think a medic out there, huh? Yeah, I mean, having confidence in your developer or the title, I think goes a long ways, right? Like all the Tom Clancy games, I pretty much played anything Tom Clancy because for years they hadn't let me down. You know, starting from like Splinter Cell to Rainbow, Ghost Recon. I was a big Ghost Recon guy. And they eventually lost me. All the games did, because they all went down this fucking trend. They all started putting on those exo armor dealios. Do you remember that? And basically what ended up happening, and PvP was big in those games, right? And so Call of Duty, I was playing that too, of course. And they all introduced those exoskeletons at the same time. All of them did. It's just like, oh, you guys like reading each other's, like, how is this possible? Is there a convention you guys go to? And you'd be like, the trend for this year, let's all get on board. Let's all make sure we have the same biosuit in every game we put out. It's like, what the anyways, they lost me in all those games because, and I think that's what turned me into Division 2, actually. I think that was my transition to Division 2 is everybody was hopping around like Halo, boing, like you might as well be in outer space with aliens hopping around. You know what I mean? Like Halo, you know, the worst of Halo, right? Everybody was hopping and they with a sniper and they would snipe you from like 3 stories up, but there's no building, right? It's like in the air, you know, it's just like, oh, it was like that. Everybody was hopping, hoppy, hop, 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 you know? And the reality is like, that's the formula too, right? And you learn that like the best Call of Duty players, they're really good at hopping, right? They hop around corners, they hop to get you to miss. And so if you're not down with that, then the game is just not going to be for you in the PvP environment, because it's the only way to survive, you know, because it's the meta, right? It's the meta. And so, yeah, you know, so they lost me. I was just like, I'm not going to, this isn't like, who fights like this? I mean, it's just like the Dark Zone bullshit. I mean, the reality is like, are you really going to go pop out of cover, stand in front of your enemy, human, non-NPC, and sit there and shoot each other until one of you dies? I mean, is that really the most tactical way to play? You know, is that really an immersive experience? I mean, it's stupid. Think about it. It's a dick measuring contest, isn't it? Isn't that what the PvP is in this game? It's literally face tanking. I can face tank you more than you can, longer than you can face tank me. That's all it is, because we're both stupid enough to get out of cover and just stand in front of each other and shoot until one of us dies. It's just stupid, right? It's stupid. It's just not a very fun way to play. It's not tactical. We should be playing from behind cover and flanking and ranges, and we do a little bit of that, of course that's there. But you know, at the end of the day, it comes down to a toe-to-toe haymaker fight, you know, until somebody's shield breaks. You know, it's just, yeah, you know, that kind of stupidity kind of loses you a little bit, right? It's just like, it's in it because it becomes the only way. Because if they're doing it to you, remember when Lady Death, Adrenaline, Intimidate was like the only build anybody would run? So basically, you can't go into the Dark Zone unless you counter that. And you can't counter with an assault rifle play from cover, because they figure out how to get really close to you. And there's a couple of ways to do it, right? They can flank you. They can just zigzag until they get to you and use their bonus armor. And Lady Death is so strong, once they get in range, you're dead. You know what I mean? It's just, yeah. So you end up being like, fuck, god damn it. That means I got to run to Lady Death, Adrenaline, Intimidate, so that when they get in range, I can handle it, right? And then up close and personal. And then what ends up happening is now you're going toe to toe and standing in each other's face, you know, and not even using cover at all, not even playing tactical at all. Now it comes to that dick measuring contest thing again, right? Because you're both running adrenaline rush, so there's no point in just going the long way to fight. Let's just fucking meet in the middle of the street and box it out. You know, it's like, really, right? Practical. I mean, it's sort of practical. It's stupid, but it does make sense. It's like, you're wearing Adrenaline Rush, I'm wearing the Lady Death. Let's just skip the bullshit and get straight to the fight, you know? Neither of us can do shit from range anyways. But every game's got its thing, you know? And it always tends to be the PvP side that can be broken that way. I think that, and that's what I see about X Defiant, right? Right out of the gate, people were talking about how you can't dolphin belly flop, you know, do that move, and how the slides aren't as deep as what you. Watch this guy shotgun me here. Let's see if he's gonna do it at range, and that's what I want to show you. He's running an M870 shotgun here. You kill his, and so he's gonna blind fire. So he usually does a pretty damn good job at sniping me with his shotgun. It's ridiculous. Who's back here? Yeah, so every game has its issues. So you know you're kind of picking which evil you're willing to deal with, right? But I mean, but it's not all tactical first person, third person shooters that I play. Like, you know what game that probably will surprise you that I really like and was Halo Wars, I think is what it was called. I can't remember exactly the game. I mean, I left the Division 2 for it, as a matter of fact. When I took a break from the Division 2, now that I remember, like, that's the game that I was playing. I was playing that game. So when I got bored of the Division 2, this is early Division 2, that's the game I went and played. Halo Wars. So that's the one where you create an army, basically. If I'm getting the name right, sorry if I'm not. But it's the Halo one that's not typical Halo. It's the Halo one where you build an army and a base and you basically take over conquer the map kind of gameplay. And so you pick your faction and each faction's got its capabilities and really fun. And I like that. So it's basically like the old, what did that get? StarCraft kind of concepts. And I love the StarCraft. That's what really got me into multiplayer gaming. And that's because when I started playing StarCraft, it was around the time they introduced, what do you call it? Landlines, Ethernet into the world. So, yeah, so Ethernet obviously wasn't always around. And it wasn't available residentially for a while, right? And so when I went to university, I went to University of Oregon. When I went there, internet was obviously in the university and in government buildings. And so we all of a sudden had access. And I remember showing up and all my friends were like playing Starfield. And they introduced me to Starfield, but they were all networked in and shit, you know? And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is amazing. Starfield was so cool. I mean, we'd have these mega battles, man. We just basically like chess and you'd get into these stalemates, you know? We basically got a wall of armies and you could just like dropping nukes on each other and shit. And you quickly build to recover and they just can't. You'd have to call it quits because like 10 hours went by and you just keep doing the same thing. Not moving. It's like trench warfare, basically. Remember that? Oh yeah, I remember the clutch meta Kool-Aid. That was my build. I had fun. The version I remember was the Chatterbox version. Is that the one you remember? The Chatterbox, I can't remember if the talent was the same, but definitely the speed thing was part of it. I don't remember what else, but the other thing that was really cool that I had equipped basically all the time was the Dodge City holster. That was sick. So Dodge City holster, just by switching to your pistol, would reload all your weapons. So that was really cool. I dig that. Now it's just a one-shot thing. It's still a good holster, but there's a lot of pressure on that shot. I don't like that. The TAC 50 just becomes more reasonable. Or a Nemesis. And then you free up a slot. An exotic space. But yeah, Halo Wars, yeah, Dragon, you know what I'm talking about. So there was another game I talked about too, and I thought it was a Ghost Recon game, but it was like Halo Wars, but it was really a much more immersive. This was a tactical military one, so I feel it was kind of like Ghost Recon in a way. I don't know what it was called. But you would build, units, right? And they were like helicopters and artillery, and you could pilot the helicopter or you could command it, and you could command units of the helicopter. And if you remember this was Xbox, and it was around the time that they released their, whatever you call it. I don't use that thing anymore. I don't even know if they have that thing anymore. I don't remember what it's called. You know, the thing that basically spies on you, the camera, whatever you call that thing. Anyways, that's around the time they introduced that, but it had voice commands, so you control your units through your mic, which is really cool. So you'd be like, Unit 1, attack, you know, whatever it was. I think it was quadrants, or you'd name your quadrant. There would be quadrants, and so you could be like, attack enemies at quadrant Z5, and whatever, Unit 2 head west and, you know, block the flank or whatever, you know, and there were tanks. Oh, that was a really cool game. It was short-lived for me though, but it was a really cool concept because you could also get in Unit 2. You could get in the tank and use it. You know, you could get in, you could build troops. It wasn't just vehicles. You had troops, you had a full army at your, you could build, you can go all helicopters if you wanted to, or you could go a mix of units or whatever. See that? One mag, that boss right there. And I gotta say, a lot of it was because of how many of those headshots landed. And she staggered. That was the important detail too. So there's little details in weapons, right? It's not just the damage numbers. It's the fact that they don't shoot back when you're laying in on them. See that? See that? So the damage numbers are great, but I don't need big damage if they're not shooting back. Now the reality is they don't shoot back because you have big damage. So they're tied together. So you can't have one without having the other. But the point is that that's what makes these weapons good. And it took me a while to really realize that, right? It's just like, oh, I'm surviving, and people are watching, and they're like, oh, how can you play out of cover like that and not die? I get out of cover and I die, and what weapon are you using? And I didn't realize it out first how much staggering an enemy contributes to your ability to play out of cover, you know, and run and gun, shield or not. Okay, so. And that's why there's certain weapons that I gravitate to because they give you the ability to drop your shield, and I really enjoy not having to run a shield all the time. Now sometimes I raise it just for habit, but especially if you got more than one enemy standing in front of you. But if you stagger that enemy, if you can stagger that enemy, then that means you have the ability to put out enough damage per second to have a decent. You should have a decent time to kill as long as you're landing your shots. And so that's what makes this weapon really powerful, really, really powerful. So it's got 750 RPM. That's what Striker's buff. Do not increase your RPMs. With some of these weapons, they perform better because the RPMs are lower. And this is at a nice RPM. 750 is nice, right? Faster than an AK and a TK, slower than a FAMAS and a police. And it staggers, right? Not all assault rifles stagger. And the problem with that is that we talk about this, it's been a big theme lately in mine, and because I want to get this kind of in you guys' head, but micro damage, right? And so you still take micro damage here and there anyways, but not a lot. And that's because you're staggering them. They don't get a chance to shoot back. So as long as you shoot first, as long as you get your shot off first, which isn't that hard, right? Just kind of keep moving, flank them. And you guys saw how I was running. I almost always have the same route. You know, I have to take on the first few enemies face on here. There's usually a couple enemies here. And then I always go this side. It's always the same route for me. I always go this way, and then I come this way. I come here. I kill everybody in that box. I have an angle on that box, and then I have some hiding routes if I need to, right? And they're funneled. Right? So very hard to flank me. It's always the same route. I don't even think about it. It's just programmed to me, right? Then I come over here, flank everybody coming out of that door. If they don't come out of that door, they're coming out of that door, and I got direct line of sight on them. So first shots, right? Now, sometimes they still get me. You know, it's not a perfect game. It's not a perfect strategy, but that's the idea, right? Get the shot out first, and then you minimize the micro damage. The micro damage is what requires you to start having to run more armor on kill, which requires you to maybe not run and gun, maybe have to play from behind cover just because you can't afford it, right? And then you see this game mode or this map that I chose. So a lot of people just like, oh, I just play from behind cover, but it's not the best strategy for every location. So you know, it's nice to have a build that can be versatile for you, because this is a horrible control point to hold your ground. A horrible one, because if you were to just to pick a high location, which would be the ideal spot, the enemy's got so many angles on you to still lay damage down. A foamer's gonna try to flank you up here. Somebody's gonna try to come from your back there while you're trying to shoot the guys over here. And more importantly is you don't have an angle on all the enemies. You gotta go earn your angle by moving. You gotta go find that angle because of how many obstructions to your line of sight that are in this control point. And so the problem is that if you were to just be like, okay, well, there's on the inside, it's very obstructed, so I'll just play from the outside. The problem with that strategy is, yeah, if you want to take 20 minutes to clear a control point, you know, that's an okay strategy. Now, if you're not worried about time and time to clear is not important to you, then yeah, that's fine. You're a relaxed tactical player. It's super cool. Nothing wrong with that. But if you're into XP, and clearing content the amount of XP per hour matters means that you got to clear these control points, you know, realistically, you know, try to average 5 minutes, you know, or so. It's, you know, not perfectly, but you know, you don't want to go too much into the 10-minute mark per control point if you're farming. So yeah, anyways, that's what makes this weapon good. And so part of it is the slower RPMs to go along with the power and the no recoil, which means a lot of my shots are headshots, more than on other weapons, I would say. So in those other faster weapons, like the FAMAS, for example, the FAMAS is so fast, I make sure I land the majority of my shots in the upper chest hitbox. So if you look at hitboxes, like you got your head, right? Then you, as far as body, I say, and these are my hitboxes, they're imaginary, but I have like the upper chest, the upper torso, and the lower torso. So the torso's got 2 hitboxes. So with faster guns, I aim for the upper torso and then work my way up to the head once I get control. If you start off on the head, like you wanted, like the bighorn makes you kind of do, right? Which is why the bighorn sucks, in my opinion. But if you start in the head, it's a smaller target and that target is moving a lot and you're trying to catch it and you got such a fast RPM, by the time you get it, you're out of bullets and you're in a reload situation. And that means you can't kill these enemies in a single mag, and then, you know, you're taking too much damage that way. Too many reloads. And it's only a 40-round mag. So I'm reading your question here, Metal Shocker. End War, is that the, I think you're right, Dragon. Oh my God, is that right? I'll get back to you in a second, Metal. Like, I think that End War, I keep asking people with the game and nobody's been able to come up with it. Let me see if I can find that. That sounds familiar. If you got that right. End War, it was a Tom Clancy, I wasn't wrong. Let me see, is this it? It was so long ago, I don't remember. That looks right. I wonder if they made future versions of it. Because I do remember it being a Tom Clancy. I was like, was it a version of Ghost Recon? It did. I thought it was short-lived, but I'm seeing stuff here in 2021. Well, I gotta check that game out. It was pretty cool. Do you remember when Ghost Recon, I think it was one like Ghost Recon 1. It might have been the first one where you could, I'm pretty sure this was Ghost Recon, but correct me if I'm wrong, because, you know, we're getting old around here when we start talking about Ghost Recon 1. But like, do you remember when you could switch into campaign mode? You had 4 units, right? Usually. And you could rotate between your units. So one of them was like an LMG guy, and then one was like whatever, an assault rifle guy, one was a sniper, and you could basically change your character on the fly, like by just highlighting them and then like sort of teleporting into their body. Wasn't that Ghost Recon? And then sometimes, yeah, and then sometimes it would give you a tank, right, Brian? And then you could control the tank too, and then you could tell you could command your troops kind of like Rainbow. It was kind of like Rainbow Six, where you say, you guys flank right, you two enemies, suppress those enemies, and then you go run left, and there were commands. They must have simplified the game, obviously, but. Oh, I'm sorry, Skeletor. Okay, so. Metal Shocker 48. You know, I think this is the problem. So this is a good question for Metal Shocker. He goes, question about the NPC behavior in the Division 2. Are the developers aware that there's an issue what they're doing in the game? The AI behavior is getting out of hand. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're aware of it and not aware of it. You know, they claim that they play their game, but not all of them do. And I think that's because they outsource, right? But more importantly, they lost their original developers. So that code, I think that, you know, there's not much maintenance happening to anything NPC related. You know, there's no new balancing, not that we know of. But part of the reason is the personnel. You know, they don't have it anymore. They don't have the people that understand it, and the people, they don't have the hands to work it. And so, I mean, and hopefully they get there, but it's definitely not their priority. And so their priority is us, our characters, which is, I don't know. But so that's a quality of life thing you're talking about. But yeah, the NPCs are ridiculous and they are out of hand. But their priority seems to be, I think, like, honestly, like, besides, you know, these game modes, the game modes is about growth, right? Which is cool. So they're trying to bring in more inviting content for casual players, right? And if you're on this channel, you're probably not a casual player. No, not really. But like, I would define casual players. There's different definitions depending on who you ask, probably. But like, what I mean by casual are people that play other games besides the Division 2. People that can play multiple games. And because of that, what they look for out of their games are the ability to jump in and out without feeling lost, right? And the Division 2 is really difficult to do that. And the reason why is because it's not the gameplay itself. That part is pretty easy to, you know, half hour in and you remember all your mechanics, right? So not a big deal. But what it is it's all the technicals around building, builds, right? It's way too complex. And a lot of it's, for us that's been around for a while, we just get it. It doesn't even really matter, we realize, right? But that's also because we've mastered the game. But we still create our builds to the logic that's been developed, and part of that's because we want to build in synergies and take advantage of what we have. But the reality is it's complicated, and we get we just have all these little nuances memorized, and you can't teach it. People talk about creating a Division 2 manual on how to build and be like, yeah, good luck. You have to rewrite it every other day. You know, because it's not always intentional, but some of the reasons those nuances are bugs and they're not supposed to be that way. Like, oh, you could, but it doesn't really, you know, actually work that way. It also happens to work on that. Like the lefty is your perfect example, right? Like if you just came into the game and you weren't aware and you said, I want to make a really strong damage to armor build, and you'd be like, oh look, the lefty gives you 40% damage to armor, whatever it says, and it's just like, but then you find out, well, that's not actually damage to armor. It's a whole nother type of damage. It just happens to read as damage to armor, but it's actually a separate damage. And so it's an inconsistency in language, or the fact that some gear like literally says amplified damage, and other gear gives you amplified damage without ever saying the words amplified damage. How annoying is that? I feel sorry for you if you're a new player and you don't know that shit. Or even an experienced player that doesn't know that shit, because it's an annoying nuance you have to remember. I mean, think of the paragraphs you would have to write just on DPS builds because of inconsistencies in language. You know, you'd be like, okay, so you got amplified damage, you got total weapon damage, and then you got amplified damage that's amplified damage but not called amplified damage. You understand what I'm saying? Because you would have to disclose that. you would have to disclose that because by definition, it's not amplified damage. It's increased total weapon damage that gives you the same, that amplifies, you know? So amplifies is not in the title, it's in the definition, you know? But not always. Because there's other total weapon damage in this game that doesn't amplify you. So there's an asterisk everywhere in Division 2 building. And so that makes the game not casual friendly because that's gonna scare people off. Like, I don't wanna, you know, have to go to college to play the Division 2, you know? It's like, fuck. And even if you went to college, you probably wouldn't master the Division 2, you know? But, so yeah, so that's, you know, very inconsistent thing. So they need to find ways through game modes, or which is what they've been doing, to desimplify, to decomplicate, right? So, and they started this process a long time ago. God damn you, with gear sets. And so gear sets was the way to simplify building. So where back in the day, we used, as a player base, used to prefer building from scratch. So each piece was hand-picked on all of our 6 slots. And gear sets were sometimes used for particular cases. But now gear sets have really kind of become the norm. And they've made them enticing enough to do so. But they had to make them enticing so that people would use them because they need an adoption, right? They need to be adoption. They can't just give you a gear set. If it's not the best, if it doesn't beat out the alternative building from scratch, then nobody's gonna use it, you know? Or they didn't back then because there was always an option. But so they had to buff all the gear sets, and they did, and then they provided more, and they were unique, and so gear sets are a lot easier. Why? Because you have limited ways of assembling a gear set build. They take up 4 of your 6 slots. They got minimized attributes, so you make one choice. And so if you're gonna go damage, then the question is, am I going all in or am I gonna balance out? You know, that's the question. That's about it. You know, the rest is minutia, but so they're doing. I believe this is all theoretical, but I believe that's what all of season 4 is about. So everything they're doing in the background is to simplify the game. And so I think that all these changes they're making to the specializations and to whatever they're calling it, season part 2 or whatever they're calling it, 2.0, seasons 2.0 and all that stuff. It's all about making the game more user-friendly so players can hop in and hop out, hop in and hop out, that you don't have to be hardcore to play this game. And so hardcore are people like most of us here, really. Most of the people in the Division 2 are hardcore. The ones that have been here for years, at least. And I don't mean hardcore like, you know, my way of the highway hardcore. Like, it's more like we're hardcore because probably a lot of us spend like a strong majority in the Division 2, like 80% of our time, 90% of our time, 100% of our time, you know, because the game we love the game, we're all in. And when you go all in, it's easy to master. It's easy. All those nuances don't bother you so much when it comes to building. You actually look forward to them. I do. I like the nuances. I mean, I don't like the inconsistency in language, but I like all the options and the crazy and being able to assemble something really unique. And so, but if you want new, more relaxed players, then, you know, that's not the direction the game needs to go. It needs to be more inviting for new players, which are like casual players too. And so by making the game more casual, you also close the gap between new players and veteran players, right? Are all those years of experience become less important when the game becomes more casual? So that's that, and we do need that. This game needs growth. They've been doing a good job, I gotta say. A lot of good growth. What they haven't been doing a good job is, you know, that their timelines, you know, and obviously they're trying to hire and bring in more developers, but man, Talk about losing steam in the game, right? I mean, like right now is a perfect example. I mean, they were on a nice little roll. We got year 5 shit. Everybody's excited, good energy. And they're like, sorry, we're changing the seasons and, you know, we're pushing you out 5-6 weeks. It's like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like, damn. And it's not that I'm not patient, but I know what that does, you know? I know what that does, you know? So I've been managing communities in the Division 2 for quite a while now, right? And just as a player and as a community leader. And what I can tell you is that the back half of the season already dies out, right? So, and that's that casual player, right? So there are casual players in this game, or people that diversify their gameplay, and whatever percentage that is. And when they do it, their decision point to do it is usually around the time when the final manhunt is complete. So as soon as that final manhunt is complete, see you later. And then they may put in a few hours for a golden bullet. Civilians in danger. So the problem is that they made it even that downtime even worse. So I always, you know, be sure to tell people in a community, be like, yeah, you know, it's going to be slow at the back half of the season. So, you know, if you see a clan member go MIA, you might not want to kick them out. It's just typical. It's what the division does. That's the curse of the season model. And I don't like the season model because of that. You know? Come on, guys, come fight. Look at their turret. Look at that turret. I mean, fuck, is it an alien turret? Where'd you come from, dude? Alien turret from another realm with perfect accuracy on it at such a range. I mean, that's like 90 meters. That purple turret out there, maybe 100. That's deep. I know that because I use my sniper out here. Might not be 100 meters, but that's deep. It's probably like 70. Fucking monkey, huh? Really? Really? That's the bullshit right there, huh? I was so far away from it. I saw her throw the grenade, right? And so it must have moved. It followed me. I didn't have to move because I got ahead of it. I saw where the trajectory of that thing. I can reasonably rotate objects in my mind in 3-dimensional space. I can do that. You know what I mean? So, and so can you. So don't tell me I misjudged that grenade. Like, I saw it coming from a mile away and it still caught me on fire. It's like, come on. That's the kind of, oh, I hate that right there. I do that. That's the kind of shit that really gets me. I get annoyed by the not realistic stuff too. And it's that kind of stuff that's, for me, is the worst. The moving, it's not the spamming of grenades. I mean, that's obviously annoying. It's been annoying the community for decades now. But, oh, I missed a couple extra shots there. Almost had them. But what really annoys me is that, you know, the defying of physics and the movement of grenades and shit like that, right? Like, he was just standing and didn't even get a shot off. But who am I? What can I say? I'm just the TuxedoBandido. That's all I am. I got no goddamn pull around here. No, we as content creators, we don't have much pull on development of base game things. You know what I mean? I've been pointing out this monkey business for years, and they're not touching that code. No way. They'd probably end up breaking more things than fixing. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous that the enemies keep coming at you like that, right? I mean, these guys aren't really armored up, and oops, I thought I had him. And you know how they just kind of get out of cover and just stand there while you lay in an entire mag on them, and that's kind of bullshit, right? I mean, I get that we kind of have to have something like that. Really, this fucking guy's bow and arrow. Getting hurt more by the bow and arrow guys than the other NPCs. I don't know, Kool-Aid. The new DLC being paid or free? I mean, that's a good damn question. I really don't know. I mean, I thought about it for a while, and I was thinking, God, they have a lot of good reasons to make it free. She didn't even stagger from that explosion. You see that? She stopped her tuck and roll midair. She didn't even get a shot off. Good gun, guys. You gotta try this thing. You'll be impressed. But you gotta pay, you know, I think of why a lot of people miss this kind of gun, because there's a few others that are like it. Like the MK16 is also close. This one is better in my opinion, but MK16 is gonna give you a little bit more damage if I remember, but that's a pretty good one right there. You get these groupos all the time. Like, you should be farming these groupos with status effects, skill haste, and skill damage. Those are the ones you want. Anyways, because the devil's in the details on these ones. You know what I mean? The staggering, the shots on target, particularly to the head. You know what I mean? That's really what you want to be looking at, and it's easy to miss those details when you just kind of play in, you know? Did they talk about it, Drag? Did they? I don't remember that detail. When did they talk about that? Do you remember? They're saying, some of the guys in chat, Kool-Aid, are saying the DLC is going to be free. Well, so that's I wouldn't be surprised, because that's the model that they've been going for in other games, all the new titles that are coming out. So Heartland's going to be free, X Defiance free. These are all Ubisoft games. So, and then that would give them the chance to change their season model, because it is poor. I'll be honest with you, like, I don't like the season model. Like, I think it doesn't encourage players to stick around, you know? It's just like, complete your thing and then see you later, you know? It's just, we need to, and then it's just like, then it's just, it all hinges on the next season and the next season, but I like the kind of the concept, something that bridges Call of Duty. I think Call of Duty is a little much. You know, like, there's just, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there's McDonald's t-shirts and these points and this points and this gun skin. I mean, you can't even keep track. There's so much shit, and which is kind of cool, because, you know, it's sort of a path to a unique character design or build, but it's a little much when it comes to figuring out which one is good and worth it and not, and a lot to cover and figure out. I don't know. It just seems a little chaotic. Oh, when Countdown was started? When they asked, no, I don't think so, Dragon, because they were asked in season 11, I think that was. or even in season 1. Actually, it was this season. So in the interview, when Morton was in, at the end, they did a Q&A and they were taking questions that were coming in. And he said at and this is this season's launch or reveal, right? So it was like a few days before they actually launched it. But he said that they're not ready to disclose. They're not ready to talk about it. But maybe they did leak that information early on. You're right. I mean, maybe they did. And I missed that. But I do remember him specifically saying recently that that they weren't ready to disclose it, which was interesting. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you see the opportunity? Like if it was free, like they got to make their money somehow, right? We get that. And so I try to be realistic, and I don't think that everything should be free in this world. You know what I mean? But there should be a balance. And because they do need to make money, and we got to support the development so that we can get more action in on the game. So, but what you want to spend your money on has got to be worth it, right? So I wonder if we could put blind bullets. That'll be cool. On that new SMG, we should be able to. So if they do make it free, they're gonna be changing their monetization policy for the Division 2. That's what would be the outcome. It's not just gonna be free. I don't believe. Unless, okay, here's the other issue, so I'm thinking about it. Unless they're using the DLC as a way for us to sign off on what they're gonna do to our gear. So what I mean is that, okay, so the game's got a glaring issue, and we look at it as, I think, a little bit different on our side than the devs do on their side. So on our side, we have an inventory issue, and it's only getting worse. It's never gonna get better, right? Why can't it get better? Well, it's because they keep giving us more gear and they don't delete gear, right? So you don't say, hey, we're giving you 3 new exotics, but that means we're gonna phase out these other exotics, or these gear sets we're getting, but we're gonna discontinue these other gear sets. I actually wouldn't even mind that until I lose the one that I use. But so they don't do that. So it's only gonna get worse with every passing season. And it's already at a critical stage where it's sinking the fucking boat. I mean, how many hours do you spend, I guess a season dealing with your stash issues? If you're a new player, probably not very much, but man, traditionally, you wouldn't need 4 characters, but we run 4 characters. Really? You fucking dick. We run 4 characters because we need the stash space, mules. I mean, resources helps too, but it's really about the stash. So that's our perspective on the issue. Their perspective on the issue is that they need more server space for all this shit. But servers are expensive in today's world especially. I'm sure they've always been expensive, but with our current global climate, it's a big deal to have to get more servers at the scale in which these games need it. And then if they're not charging for games, they're spending all that money, but they're not making the same revenue. They're not getting the return on investment, basically. Right? So they're selling the game cheaper than ever, giving it away for free, basically. Bringing in new players, which is taking up more servers, which is, you know what I mean? So it's just, they need a solution for that. So we're claiming, like, hey, devs, for years now we're saying we've had what do you call it, server stash issues, and at the same time, the devs have been slowly building up a server issue. And so I don't think they want to spend money on new servers, and I think that's a lot of what's behind Season 4. I do. I know that's conspiracy theory, sorry, but I do, because these are always business decisions. These aren't devs' decisions. Do you think the devs make those decisions? You think the devs got around and said, hey, let's scope out new, you know, Seasons 2.0? Let's scope out. No, that was a fucking business decision. The devs don't make business decisions. That's a different type of management. You know? And so those were business decisions that were made. And so I think that they're saying that, okay, great, we're not going to be making a lot of money off this title like we did in the heyday. We're still going to be doing better than before, but not like the heyday. So we need to bring our costs down. And so, which also means we need to control our costs. So we need to get a handle on our server situation, because at this stage, we need more servers. And that's going to continue to be the case with every season. So, if they do something that destroys our gear and makes us start over on all of our gear, that buys them another couple of years, maybe, I don't know. But it buys them time, a lot of time, because we're gonna basically clean out the servers by deleting all of our level 40 gear. It's no longer gonna be good. So they did that before, right? Now they did it for different reasons, probably. I don't know. But I think that's a lot of it. I think that and it wouldn't be a great thing. I'm not voting for it. But I think that they're trying to fix some server issues, and that's going to require us to clean our slate. Or maybe they have a creative way that I can't think of that bridges the gap between level 40 gear and the future stuff. We just start cleaning out our stash on our own because it's just not as enticing anymore. But to run it the way we are, so we just start cleaning out our stash. But I don't know. I can see them saying with the new specialization system, and we're gonna be hunting for, you know, we're gonna have this new slot that's gonna have us farming for something that we've never been able to farm before, a whole new skill trait or attribute type. I mean, that sounds a little shifty to me. It sounds like, why would they be doing this at this stage of the game? Think about it. Why would they do that? Do we need that? Did we ask for that? Is that what we want? I mean, it sounds cool. Don't get me wrong, but from a business perspective, why would they be doing that now? In a game that was like on the verge of them bailing on. I mean, they did bail on it, and then they changed their mind. So like, and so now they flip a complete 360 or 180 and say, let's, instead of abandoning the game, let's unnecessarily spend development resources on creating some new and exciting build possibilities. Does that sound like something you would do if you were running a software company? You know what I mean? At this stage, they need to bring down costs and drive down costs and drive up growth, right? So I think that, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a world way over my head from there, but you know, my point is, I think whatever's coming down the line, you know, could be gear level 50 in a way, you know, in a way. It could be gear. Okay, I'm going to change the build, but we'll talk about it here in a second. It could be level 50 gear of some sort, something that gets us to sign off and not gripe about having to crush everything we earned, including the exotics, which is why I also believe year 5, season 1, 2, and 3 is a minimum give on new gear. It's a minimum, guys. I mean, at this stage, if they're developing, I mean, everybody's complaining, the Division 2 sucks. It's the same old model. Yeah, exotics. Yeah, manhunt. Yeah, new gear set. Yeah, new brand set. But yeah, they're not going to improve that right now. Not with season 4 coming. Not with the new DLC, because whatever's behind that fucking curtain is so big that whatever they introduce today could potentially be going to garbage. Those are development dollars they can't get back, lost. And so I think that what they're doing is minimizing, giving us, dripping us only what they can to keep us engaged. But these are all things they're gonna write off. These all might potentially be at a loss. You know what I mean? Or not. Maybe they have a way to convert it. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's something that bridges the gap. We'll see. We'll see. But I think that, yeah, they're on maintenance mode right now. So season 1, 2, 3 is maintenance mode. I mean, like, you probably don't like to hear these words, but the castle rebuild, that's recycled content. And it's painted in a different color, right? I don't mind it, you know, at this stage, because, you know, I'm curious on what's behind the curtain myself. But I mean, the castle was already there. They just, you know, tagged a storyline behind it, and you know what I mean? And added a couple of capabilities that we already had. They're just extending them, right? So, I mean, I'm not complaining about that though, but just so you know, that's why I say, like, we're on maintenance mode. They're not actually delivering anything new. That's not new content. Not from the perspective of risk and development costs, you know. To us, it does feel like new content, but the reality is it's recycled content because I think they're on a maintenance. They're on a maintenance road. Give us enough to get us by, just enough to be happy enough to play the next season, and then give us enough to get us happy to play the next season until we get to season 4, and then hopefully that fixes all the glaring issues. But who knows? What up, Moonbeam Jones? What's happening? Welcome in. Yeah, Destiny has that issue too, Metal Shocker. I personally don't play Destiny, but I'm aware of that. A lot of comparisons there. And Destiny's just got an overload of weapons. I mean, holy crap, right? I mean, it's just like an overload. But they also got an interesting revenue model too, an expensive one. To tell you the truth, when I see a game like The Division 2 not charging us for shit, I'm more worried than excited, you know? Because you gotta make money. So, you know, it's just, I'm not saying I want to go around paying for everything. I don't, but it's just like, God, give me some more cool outfits, I guess, that are worth buying, and more cool guns. I mean, you don't want to pay to win, so guns are usually it's usually cosmetics, right? Because they don't, you know, if you get a gun and that gun ends up being meta, then it's pay to win. And you don't want it, you don't want that situation. So you really do want cosmetic type things, or seasons passes or stuff like that, whatever. But yeah, they were thinking the NFT's gotten a conversation, but you know, who's gonna develop that shit, right? Wild. Yeah, I see that, Wild, and like part of the Destiny model is like, when you have too many weapons, it's just like you kind of get overwhelmed by choice, and then nothing ever really seems good, you know? It's just like, I mean, I like having diversity and everybody kind of having a unique, but through a compilation, you know? Not because of just one weapon. I don't know. I don't know if I'm describing my feelings about that right, but all I gotta say is, oh my gosh, there's too many weapons in that game. And they're all legendaries. They're all exotics. You know what I mean? They all seem like exotics. Yeah, we're getting expanded. We're getting Brooklyn is coming down to expansion. So that's a New York map expansion, which is good. New York needs some energy there. I mean, who goes to New York, right? Okay, real quick, pivoting real quick so I can move on to the next build. So really simple build here. You don't have to run Striker, but I would with this gun because Striker complements it. And you really, you know, I'd actually encourage you kind of holding your ground more with this one. Especially use it in Legendary. You'll be surprised at how good it is. But in Heroic, it's amazing. But hold your ground. That gives you the option to use a Striker backpack. And if you're willing to stick to the scope, which I really like, then run it with perfect focus, you know, and get extremely high damage. I mean, wow. Even if you're moving, focus gives you some really nice damage. So otherwise, Striker's really good because of its handling and a little bit of rate of fire. It's not a big dramatic change. Like I said, you don't want to mess with the rate of fire too much on this thing. And so I'm not sure I'd run this with Umbra. I feel like that would kind of defeat the purpose a little bit. But 15% increase is not too much, not too little. And then I do recommend trying this with the scope. And I ran it with Optimist, but if consider Ranger if you're going to hold your ground, especially. And this weapon is one of those that's probably the smarter way to play with it. But, you know, I'm just running around today. So the hold your ground with this one, take it into Legendary. You will not be disappointed. If you like your TKBs and your St. Elmos, if you like the St. Elmos, this is like, okay, look at it this way. This is like a cross between St. Elmos and the TKB. You know, I would probably call it, it's like a halfway point between, it's like if those two made sweet, passionate Division 2 love, this would be their love child. And the reason why is because it doesn't have the mag size as the St. Elmos. However, it's got a stronger damage and just as much control and probably a longer range, but I'm not sure, to land enough shots that you're going to be killing them probably faster with the ACR-E or just as fast. Shock ammo aside, right? So, you know, it's and then you can, and if you put on, depending on your damage talent, you could get even more out of this than St. Elmo. So either way, it's you're not going to be disappointed by switching out of the St. Elmos for this, because on some weapons you would, because all of a sudden you notice how they don't handle as well, and you know what I mean? And now you're missing those 20 extra rounds because you're missing so many extra shots. This is not the case. You're going to be, it's probably handles better than the police, than the St. Elmos. From a recoil perspective, it's amazing. This is a good gun. I've always liked it, and I'm sad I don't use it enough, to be honest with you. Every time I use it, I enjoy it. Put it that way. Okay, so that's the ACR-E, but you can run it with anything. I just think Striker complements it, because Striker's basically a play from cover setup, because it doesn't offer much in the form of resistance or recovery. And so you could put the Striker backpack, and even run a Coyote's Mask would probably be a nice complement to this. And then you got lots of options. You can run Obliterate if you want to. This chest piece, of course, which is Perfect Spotter. And then Perfect Focus, which would be the way that I run it. So notice I'm not running that many crits. So 51, 81, 105% headshot damage. And we were hitting around 1 million. I'm not sure what the peak was, but we're definitely hitting 1 million. So... and that's plenty for whatever content you're going to take on, legendary or not. So. Okay, so let's get into the next one. So I got the Culibre is the other one that I wanted to showcase. So the Culibre is a named M870 shotgun, which is basically the best shotgun in the game, non-exotic at least. And it comes with the talent called Jazz Hands, which is 30% reload speed. And I'm guilty of overlooking this shotgun, and it really came to, I tried it before and wasn't impressed, but trying it again when I ranked all the named weapons, it changed my mind. And so I realized how good this weapon was as I was kind of critiquing it closely. And so let me change some things here. And so I'm going to put on more reload speed. I put weapon handling up here. So we're going to buff its reload speed all the way, right? So at the moment, it's, what does that say? 1.9 seconds. Now, that's a full reload. So that's all 5 rounds in the mag. But remember, with this thing, you can reload one at a time. So you can micro reload, right? And that 30% reload speed is going to apply to that situation. So it gets quite comfortable. Now, you don't have pummel, but what this does is it's kind of, how do I put this? It's got all the one-shot capabilities that you need. You see that pummel isn't really required to get your one-shot kill capability with the shotgun. And so it's just always been kind of a nice to have. The only reason why we ran pummel was really for the free reload. So with this handling most of the reload issues, or at least making the reload reasonable now, you don't really need a free reload. So, I mean, it's still not the best reload ever, I'll tell you that. So there's still some risk to it. But what you have now is a more consistent fast reload. And what am I trying to say here? Basically, I want to say it's a compromise. That's the word I'm looking for. It's a compromise, because the downside with Pummel is that you might not earn it, or you don't have it when you need it, that reload. So you can miss some shots, and then you find yourself in a manual reload without Pummel, and it hurts, right? You're like, oh my God, 5-second reload, shoot me in the face. And you do get shot in the face. So the other thing is with Pummel is that you can't switch weapons, and that is a big deal. That's a big deal, right? Let me tell you why it's a big deal. So when you're in the hitbox, when you're in the kill zone, and you run out of rounds in your shotgun, whether you have reload speed, whether you have Pummel, it doesn't matter. The best situation to do is just to rotate weapons, right? Don't sit there and reload and take damage. Just rotate weapons. Switch over to your pistol. Switch over to your Regulus, your D50. Switch over to your no-scope White Death, your 1886 rifle. Just switch weapons and continue killing. And then when you find a second, switch back to your shotgun, reload it, off to business you go. You can't do that with Pummel. Every time you do that with Pummel, you lose your progress on Pummel. And then you're never going to get Pummel. You know what I mean? And so that's where Jazz Hands wins, because it allows you to play into a weapon swapping scenario, which is actually probably smarter for the high risk, high reward type of gameplay you're doing. So you would probably want to, you know, kill. If you find yourself in a pickle, switch over to your Regulus, pop them ahead, blow up the group, move back, because you still have Headhunter going, right? You still have your Headhunter going. So your downside is just say you're out of rounds. So instead of reloading, just swap. And so, but Pummel punishes you for that. And so that's why this gun is really good. And you can use, like Equalizer is saying, is the Orbit or the Busy Bee. You know, because the Orbit has the ability to one-shot kill depending on your setup. So that would be a plus. Except I'm not really going to run into crits, but crits wouldn't hurt. So that would definitely give you more damage. But so would the Busy Bee. So you have because this is a non-exotic, you can run an exotic pistol. And the Busy Bee is just tag an enemy, and that's an instant 20% damage. That's a core. It's more than the core, weapon damage core, right? It's like a free core per shot. So, you know, either way, whatever you run, all good choices. But that's where Jazz Hands or the Culibre plays in. And with its differentiator for the most part. And you're going to have the power to one-shot kill everything. So let's get this rolling. And so I'm going to run a Hunter's Fury build. We're going to run some armor on it. You're probably better off. I have tried different versions, but you pretty much are better off running a Hunter's Fury with an M870 type shotgun build, because you need that disorient status effect more than anything. For the chest, I have run Spotter on this shotgun, or the M870 at least, and you can two-shot everybody, so it's not bad. But we're gonna go one shot here, and so I'm gonna run a Providence, I guess. No, you know what? I brought over. Well, it depends on how much headshot damage I have. So let's see. Right now we're at 130, so we should have enough. So I'll put headshot damage here. So you just need to make sure you're at 150. And if you have the ability to put weapon handling on, always take that, because that's going to make you even faster. So I'm going to do that here. And so now we're at 150 headshot damage, so that's good. So I'll go ahead and... actually, you know what I'll do? I'll go ahead and put on more headshot damage so I can load up on weapon handling somewhere and get that even faster. That's nice to be able to do. Okay, I'll play with the armor here in a second. So let's fix the chest piece. You do need to run some armor, because you're gonna need to get that armor on kill and bonus armor to protect you from extra damage, and then regen. And you don't want your shield breaking all the time. These are all stuck at headshot damage. That one isn't. I'm not going to put on too much weapon handling, but just at least one would be nice. Balance it out. See, so 150 headshot damage, good. So all the mods are some sort of handling mod, right? And then what's our reload? Oops, I missed it. 1.9 second reload, so that's good. So I said that earlier because I was running Striker, right? So we got 21% weapon handling. And then for my backup, just to demonstrate, I'll go and run the Regulus. You could also run the D50, it would work. And then that's probably more than enough armor, maybe even too much, but that's all right. And then I'm going to change the Sharpshooter. You don't have to run Sharpshooter, but I use it just to kind of kick things off. You could also use the Nemesis that way, or you don't need any of them at all. I was thinking about Badger, but I needed to make sure that Equalizer, yeah, it's a great option, Badger. And plus it gives you an armor core, so it's actually a really good option because it makes it easy to bring that in. But I needed to make sure I crossed that 150% headshot damage threshold, so I find myself, I guess, in that pickle a lot, you know, where I have to make that decision. And that's also because sometimes, in this case I didn't, but I like to put on protection from elite since I'm out of cover the whole time. So yeah, I end up going Providence. Plus Providence works for your TAC 50 and Badger doesn't. And that's where the damage is really coming from originally. Because I use it to set up Headhunter. Yeah, Metal Shocker, about raid exotics being a general loophole. I mean, they had to make careful decisions about that. There was a lot of... It wasn't highly celebrated that they took out the Eagle Bear. There was a mixed review. Because all the raiders were like, oh, nobody's going to raid anymore. It's just like, well, nobody raids anyways, except for raiders. You know what I mean? So raiders raid, and you know what I mean? And you guys aren't going to not raid because the Eagle Bear is not there anymore. Or exclusively there. Because none of you guys need it. You probably have a dozen Eagle Bears, you know? Isn't that funny? I always feel like that's kind of how this game is. I don't know, do any of you consider yourself casual raiders? Because I feel like there's raiders and then there's not raiders. You know? And the raiders are those that raid every single week, regular basis. It's not because of the loot, obviously. Because you don't really get any. Minimal. And then non-raiders are those that do raid only until they get their exotic, and then from there, they're outie 5,000, which is perfectly acceptable. I mean, I actually kind of personally see raids, that's sort of the point of them. I mean, what are you going to do once you get your... I mean, it is another game mode to enjoy, so there's that. All right, there we go. So there's our first kill. I gotta remember I'm running jazz hands. Ooh, that was a fast reload. You see how fast that was? Wow. You seen that reload? That's a great reload. You can't even see his hands move. Oh, really? Nope. It's a good gun, guys. I mean, I'm always surprised by that reload myself. I mean, you're probably not even noticing the reload, are you guys? Ah! Fuck it, hey. So once I get some TAC 50 ammo, we'll get that one shot in cleaner. Cause see, they do get you to miss, right? That is the downside of these types of builds is like right there. Like, I mean, you accidentally hit a weak point or you clip. That's the other thing. So like only half of your shots landed, half of your pellets instead of the full enchilada. Oh shit, I switched shotguns? I didn't fucking realize. I need to take that other shotgun off. That's confusing.
Thank God I
That was great. And very smooth, very easy to run. It's easier than Pummel, in a way. You know what I mean? You don't have to worry about it. Hey, you got the damage. That counted as a body shot. That's bullshit. I aimed high. I should probably have a decoy, not this fixer. But... Come on, people. Where are my bad guys? Oh, really? She moved at the last second. Also, yeah, that stacking amp damage from Hunter's Fury, if you can get that to work for you. Enemies aren't all spread out like this. Oh, come on. I keep getting these body shots. My reload's so fast, I don't care, actually. I just used to carrying. I mean, I care a little bit. Because I like my headshots. Ah, I switched the wrong weapon again. That gunner's an annoying spot. It's covering the hallway. Yeah, now we're rocking. Trophy to trophy, baby. Trophy to trophy. One shot at the boss. 2 million crit per pellet. That was nice. Yeah, I'm actually pretty surprised by how damn good this gun is, to be honest with you, and how long it took me to use it. Again, I tried it a long time ago, but it didn't click for me back then. It was a long time ago. I think it was before I was into M870s altogether. I think that's probably why it didn't click for me. Ew! He's got crudies. That's probably why I passed on the Calibre, is I just literally wasn't in M870s at the time. Yeah, people do use this gun in Legendary for speedrunning, actually. It's get in your face game tactic. Yeah, I got a pretty good drop weight with those raids. I have some sort of gift in my RNG. When there's a new exotic and a quest or whatever beyond a raid, I tend to get them really quick. Like, I think I got my Ravenous on my second run on Iron Horse. Something like that. Didn't take me very long. Eagle Bearer, I got my second time I opened the cache. And then on my third Dark Hours raid, I got my second Eagle Bearer. So I got 2 Eagle Bears back to back. And the Regulus was a little bit of work back then. It's easier now. But you had to get a bunch of pieces. But it's guaranteed. Do you, Nikki? Do you run it with this talent? It's a little bit of a hidden gem, isn't it?
Reinforcements incoming.
See ya. Jesus Christ. Ha ha ha! Sucker! I landed that. Peace! I'm out. Just came through like a fucking wrecking ball, huh? Yeah. That turret doesn't feel very good on my back. Thank God for that bonus armor, huh? So I like that I can switch guns, and because I do it on accident, so that was technically an accident right there. Oh, that foam. Get off. Jesus Christ. God, she moves like a freak, and I'm still taking damage back here. So I'm gonna be switching weapons just to showcase that's one of the perks of running jazz hands. So I'm not, my mechanics are off a little bit because of Starfield. So I was trying to jump, use Y when it's B. One of the other, Yeah, one of the other benefits is if it's a risky shot, it's actually easier to land with your pistol because it's a precise weapon, where the scatter of the pellet can accidentally lead to a body shot. So if you find yourself in that situation, you might be better off just switching to your pistol without being penalized. And you get to blow some shit up too.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
Look at these clowns. See, that was a body shot. That's bullshit, right? I mean, it was square on the top of his fucking head and they counted it as a body shot. I swear headshots in this game are fucking RNG. That's why I confuse the game. I don't know if you catch that, but I swing into the head and I shoot it when it lines up. Because sometimes, like, if you just line up on the head, that's when they start doing weird ass shit. So I'll aim to the right and then swing in. You know what I mean? See that? And then I got the red marker. It's not a perfect system, but it's worked for me plenty of times. See that stagger? Oof. We have just, I mean, the build is pretty nice. We have just enough. So he broke my armor, right? And then in the fraction of time it took me to land that next shot, we had enough armor regen that the armor on kill plus the bonus armor on kill was enough to get us to 100%. You know, and it took no time to get there. So that's you know, the 3-3 model is pretty nice here. No, so I guess part of what I'm saying is most people run gunner. Come on. Please don't shoot that gas. Freak. Kind of feel bad when I use that word. It's not very nice, Tux. Come on down. So you missed that? It's bullshit, right? Got that fucker. I'm coming! It's always fun to run these builds, guys. I hope one day, if you're not into these M870 shotgun builds, that one day you break into them. Now, it doesn't happen right away. Even if you're a shotgun fan. It's something you kind of work up to because it is challenging to play this. Any weapon with the slow reload, high damage, they make them challenging, right? They on purpose. Because imagine if it was really easy to use. You know what I mean? I mean, you would be king. Oh, that turret at the end there. I got an answer for you, buddy. Don't you worry. Or not. Never mind. You definitely not worried, are you? Never mind. Oh, that was horrible. Oh my God, shotgun with determined? Are you kidding me? Oh, I would love shotgun with determined. We've been talking about that forever. It's like, imagine determined on a shotgun.
Supply room access unlocked.
But yeah, it's a really fun way to play, really engaging. It's intense, that's why. You know, to get in there like that, you get every shot's critical. You got to be willing to take damage. Really? I do get annoyed of how many headshots that I land aren't called headshots because of pellets. That does bug me, if you're wondering. I wish Save Canada, slugs. That's what I was just talking about. I wish. I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't think they're thinking down to that level. But, I don't know. I was pretty surprised to see the fire turret come into the game. Anybody else? Hey, can we talk about that for a second? So what did you guys think about the new exotic LMG? I kind of have mixed feelings about it because, I mean, their intention is by design, of course, not that it's limited, but it's to pair it up with the new gear set. But, I mean, I don't know. Why? I mean, damn, you're going to have a hard time killing things. Because that gear set doesn't give you any weapon damage or anything like that. And I was kind of disappointed to see it come with skill tiers. The new gear set. I was kind of disappointed by that because, you know, for me, I mean, it's definitely different than Eclipse, but I'm not sure more valuable. And the reason why is because it's got one move, and that move is the turret, right? The fire turret. That's its only move. That's its only play. So it's sort of like, yeah, might not be worth having you in my stash because I can't afford to have you in my stash because you only do one move. That's unfortunately where we are in this game. So, but that aside, you know, it's a sort of like, oh, your damage is so limited in range. Has anybody thought about that? Because it's so tied to the turret, and that turret, even though they've given it an extended range, it's still hella limited. It's zone, right? It's zonal, and it's fire damage, which means it's damage over time. So we're not talking like a bullet type kill, right? 1 second kills. I mean, it's possible, but we're talking damage over time, and most enemies are gonna run away from the fire once they catch on fire. I don't know, guys. I mean, it's definitely got its applications. I'm not saying there's no situation that it would work, but so I see that a distance being an issue, you know? Like how many times, like I talk about the shock traps a lot. It's just one big shock trap or explosive trap, right? Which would be cool, by the way. Throw your fire traps on top of a bunch of explosive traps. That would be cool. But then what are you gonna do? Because everything is zonal is what I mean, right? Like, so if the enemies never come in your zone, then you're literally sitting there doing nothing. You have 6 skill tiers, you know, and no real damage. So I like the the LMG that they gave that thing, but because it's not bad. It's kind of higher middle end. Oh, I accidentally switched weapons here. Oh my god. I'm literally forgetting my controls. Like, wait, which one's switch weapons again? Oh my god, which one's cover? Like, part of it's because I'm thinking about it, and it's all muscle memory, you know. Now at this stage, but when I'm playing a new game, that's a problem playing new games. Fuck, it's kind of annoying. That's how I keep getting the other shotgun in. You don't want to hit his weak point, and it's like a fucking magnet. See, the dive. So that's what I'm looking for. Where's my dive? We got good regen here. So dive is A. Dive is A. All right. This is a good shotgun, guys. Like, I'm having a hell of a time. Both guns, actually. That ACR-E and this. Like, I picked these weapons on purpose because they're surprisingly good, and I guarantee you're overlooking them. You know? Like, how many of you just keep trashing your Calibre? Now, the truth is, like, you might not be M870 ready yet. So let's get back onto that conversation. Because that's a kind of an interesting one. Like, shotguns are totally about... There's two things to make you successful at a shotgun runs, assuming that it fits your play style, right? Which is obviously going to be aggressive. Oh my god. But one of them is situational awareness. Now, at least the earned kind. So if you don't naturally come with a high amount of situational awareness, whatever that means, but at least you can earn it too, right? Just by playing the game and being aware of where your spawns are, when they spawn, and which enemy you need to run away from when you see them coming out of that door, right? Like, if you see two riot foamers together, I mean, you might want to tuck tail and run real fast because they like to get you in some double stream action, right? Or a heavy gunner, because you don't have enough time to kill the heavy gunner without taking too much damage from the other enemies. That's really what I mean. It's not that you can't kill them. So situational awareness can be earned. And then the other one is your flanking pattern. So notice my routes. There's a kind of a, there's a, what do you call it? There's some reason behind the chaos. I guess that's the word I want to use, I guess. You know what I mean? There's some design behind the chaos. And so, but the way I'm moving, if you look at it, it always looks like I'm taking the long way around. And I am. And the reason why is because your biggest threat as a shotgun player is damage from a distance. Ooh, we just one-shotted that biatch. Woo! Felt great. I mean, just right up there, right? And so you gotta take the long way around because your biggest threat is damage from distance. But if you keep taking that kind of damage, so every now and again it's okay, but if you keep taking that kind of damage, by the time you get to the enemy, you don't have anything left in the armor department, you know? And then you're gonna get burned because, like I said, you have to be willing to accept damage with these types of builds. It's okay. Fucker. Reload. What's wrong with you? God. All angry? All aggroed up and shit? Lay off the roids, bruh. So yeah, so the other thing is, yeah, so that's really your success. That's all it is. Again, it's got to be your playstyle though, because it's an aggressive playstyle. You got to be, you know, high risk, high reward. That means be willing to take damage, knowing that you're going to recover from it really quickly here. Get out of my way, man. And that's where bonus armor comes in handy too. But yeah, and then without the situational awareness, like, yeah, you could struggle, you know? And the situational awareness, I mean, like, so like I'm already running to the spawn, right? Like I'm already headed that way. to catch him off guard, because you don't want him to set up and get his turret on the ground. And then part of situational awareness is knowing your target priorities. You know what I mean? Like, rifleman guy's got to go first. Don't let the turret guy set up his turret. The rusher is the easiest to kill from an HP perspective. You know what I mean? So you got to know these things, right? And if you see a heavy gunner, you probably want to get out of town, because he's going to take a shot to bust his helmet, and that's if you're fully powered up. And then probably 2 more shots, if not more, after that. And if you have a group of enemies along with him, that's too much time to be standing there exposed. They will shred you. So, and then for, yeah, so that's it. That's it. Because the build's strong. I mean, it's strong, right? You got the power to one-shot bosses, so you don't need any more power. You're good. It's using the tools at hand. But either way, like, you kind of graduate into these weapons. Like, for me, I started with the Super 90, and that's because I was before this 612 was out. Eventually, it released the 612. And then the Scorpio doesn't really play like a shotgun, so I don't like calling it a shotgun. But it is. You know what I mean? It's kind of a crutch of a shotgun. So if you're good with the Scorpio, you're not necessarily going to be good with any other shotgun. I mean, it's got a fast reload. It paralyzes enemies. You know, it's great. Nothing wrong with that. But I'm just saying, it's not going to help you in this shotgun game. Getting good at this kind of play. This is all about, you know, like I said, being positioned at the right time. Killing him before he kills you first.
Hostile supply convoy nearby.
So yeah, can we circle back on that gear set / LMG? So the shotgun, I mean, the SMG, let's just get that one out of the way first, actually. So it looks pretty enticing, pretty good, it's interesting at the very least, right? It's a nice little tool for the tool bag. You know, I don't think it's gonna be OP. Do you guys think that? I mean, I guess so, from a perspective of like, it all circles back to the same question answer thing, right? Which we talk about here a lot, right? Which is that ideal time to kill, effective time to kill, essential damage. So if your build already has it, let's just say it's Hunter's Fury, then your build already has essential damage where you don't need a damage talent anymore. You need ways to help you survive when out of cover, right? To balance that out. Yeah, so it's just another tool for that belt, which is pretty cool. It's an inconsistent one, and you might not like that. So, you know, that's some of the things to consider. What I mean by inconsistent is like, you know, you might not have status ammo when you're hoping to have status ammo. You might not always be the choice of that. You know, you're not always under status effects. And in general, it's still ideal to avoid status effects because they get you killed. So it's essentially the backfire with a little more burst instead of sustained damage, which makes it a better gun in my opinion. Except it doesn't offer damage, it offers status effects, but you have to take status effects in order to get it. You see? So it's a sort of a backfire in disguise, but it's pretty cool. I mean, I like the backfire, you know. Like I said, I just wish it was improved, but I like it. The mods looked pretty good. Yeah, that's a good point, Dragon, from the mag perspective. Yeah, that's a good point. Like, you know, because it does have a bigger mag. So that SMG as a base weapon, correct me if I'm wrong here, but is the best DPS SMG, the tactical vector. It's got 35 rounds in it or something like that by design. So this one's got 50 rounds. So that alone, that's a big deal. That alone is a big deal because the base weapon is the best in the game. This guy, huh? All right, come here. I'm gonna blow you up just because you're weird. Ooh, horrible rolls.
Civilians in danger.
Yeah. So I can see that. I mean, again, my tactical vector build, the video's already been out for a few months. I run 1.7 million armor on it because it's so strong. So, you know, in other words, you could also take off the damage talent on that same build, you know what I mean? Or run this gun and then put on more armor cores. It's kind of a trade-off, right? But you're gonna accomplish the same thing. I gotta get out of that fucking turret. I could probably run some protection from elites, by the way. So if you need a little bit more range, just kind of flip over to your pistol too, by the way. You could also run a rifle as a backup or even a sniper. So anyways, a good weapon. A good weapon. I'm excited to use it, get my hands on it, have fun with it. It might be like the, and it's true, like kind of what Dragon I think is insinuating here is like it might be like the St. Elmo's Exotic where we don't care about the ammo anymore. We're like, we got a bigger mag, me happy, you know? Just a good gun with a bigger mag. Hold still, buddy. Sucker. Oh, fuck you. Get off my nuts, man. What? A fucking headshot. That was two. Look, I saved 5 rounds of shotgun just for you. So, I kind of have mixed feelings about the gear set and its application because of range, you know? So, I was mentioning earlier about traps and then got distracted, but, you know, like, I don't use traps a lot because I mean, you'll catch a couple of enemies in that spider web, but they do avoid it overall, or they play, a lot of enemies play from range. God, I hate foam. Get off me. It's so easy to get you wrapped up. See right there? God damn. It's just like it touches you and you're like, it's like fire, you know? Like your pinky toe gets into fire and then your whole body catches on fire. Yeah, and it's like impossible to kill.
Civilians in distress.
That was annoying. Yeah, so, you know, it basically is like a trap build is what it is. And in some rooms, that's going to be great, right? Because in some rooms, like District Union Arena, the enemies are forced to spawn through and run forward at you, like in Checkpoint 2. You know, so yeah, that'll be great, you know, and the fire's gonna cover the whole room. But do we need the 360? I mean, it's nice, I like it. But what if you didn't have the 360 in that same room?
Hostile detected. Civilians in danger.
And then what if you had Eclipse Protocol? I mean, is Eclipse Protocol just going to be better because it spreads like a virus? It's like the pestilence of status effects, you know? And so that's why I wonder, you know, these are just questions. I don't know any of the answers, but these are what I'm thinking about. And then I'm thinking about the LMG too, right? And so are you really going to use that LMG? I mean, I guess so. I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, so sorry for Ken seem scatterbrained, but I guess the LMG could be for those guys that aren't in range, right? So you got your fire catching people on fire who decide to step in that circle, and if they're outside that circle, then you can use your LMG bullets, you know? So yeah, okay, I could see that. Then you would want to run the LMG. No, Larry, you can't hurt your friends. Yeah. You can never hurt your friends with your own skills or whatever. Even if you shoot an environmental explosive standing and your friend is standing next to it, they won't die. I did notice that's a little bit different inside Descent game mode. Did they actually get hurt? Anybody notice that? Yeah, so it's cool that you can't catch on fire because you're the only one that can hurt yourself. And the Pyromaniac will have a nice little comeback. Yeah, I agree with that. So if they step in that zonal fire, then yeah, you wouldn't want to use your LMG, right? Because they're already on fire. So if they step in the zone, then you want to switch to your Pyromaniac because the LMG is only good for catching them on fire. I mean, base damage, but you're not gonna have very much of that. And so it's only good for catching them on fire and they're already on fire. So yeah, you're gonna wanna use a Pyromaniac in that setup. Or still, wouldn't you be better off with In Sync? I think we could still be in that situation because In Sync would power up the turret.
Reinforcements en route.
Very good. Yeah, I don't know. So I do see it being cool to have a status effect on builds that... The cool thing about the LMG is that you can apply a status effect without having... That's always a good thing. Without having skill tiers. Always a good thing in my book. Shotgun to the face cannot feel good, right? Oh, that was a body shot. Another big boy. I got you. I'll blow myself up on the way though. Okay. Easy peasy. What are you gonna do? I mean, look at that reload. Look at that reload, right? You seen that? It's amazing. I mean, I look like I got fast hands with some shit. I mean, that's crazy. The way my hands move. So that's what's, again, that's deceiving with shotgun. So when you see it say 1.9 seconds, you're like, oh yeah, that's pretty good. You know, I got an assault rifle, that's pretty good. But when you divide that by 5, then that's what's happening a lot of time. A lot of the times. Most of the time, because I kill, reload. You don't really want to go all the way to empty, right? But you do sometimes. God damn. What kind of running is this? You know you could shoot sideways, did you? Yeah, Kool-Aid, I think I'm gonna be okay with the tip of spear workout. I'm not happy about it. It's got some cool parts. The backpack looks okay. I mean, if I can figure out how to use my TAC 50 near full time, I'm gonna be pretty stoked. You know? Because every third kill is gonna get you an extra ammo. And then you're gonna be earning ammo once every 60 seconds anyways. So that could be pretty cool, right? Drive by. Shotgun sick.
Heavily armored hostile detected.
But what I don't like is that you now have to get a kill with your TAC 50. And so that's gonna change the scope of some builds. But they did give you 10% more damage, so maybe it's okay. So, tip of spear. Ooh, they went the boss. You know, I like to, because you're so powerful, you know, I like to run lots of armor. But you used to get the buff just by hitting the shot. So no matter what, your first shot from to kick off the fight was always 2 shots to kill, because you didn't have your tip of spear buff until you landed a shot. Now it's gonna still be that way, but now you gotta get a kill, not just land a shot. So, which is still gonna be 2 shots realistically, because the first shot's gonna weaken them so much that the second shot should be a kill shot anyways. So it's still 2 shots, but yeah, you know, but it's not, you do have to complete it like before. If you just, for some reason, were just looking for the buff, you didn't have to kill anything. You could just shoot, get your buff, rotate to your assault rifle and then run around, get with that extra damage. But now you got to get a kill. And I think even if you're running the backpack, I can't remember how that one worked, but I think that's probably just like that. Every third kill gets you special ammo. But I'm wondering if every third kill gives you special ammo along with the 60 seconds could be enough to chain kill. Probably not, but it's getting there, right? Where you could almost run. I mean, you could now that I think about it, as long as you didn't miss very much. You could, if you had a round of 5. Right? So we got 5 rounds with 2 in reserves, 6 rounds with 2 in reserves, I guess. So that you're running around with 8 total rounds. Yeah, that's right. You're running around with 8 total rounds. So if that were the case, then that means you could get your 2 kills before you ran out of ammo and get 2 more rounds. And then you'd have 4 rounds total, not counting what's happening every 60 seconds. So it'll be close, but there's a chance to run your TAC 50 almost full time there. You don't need to, but that's really cool if you would be able to. It's close. But if you're doing a really good job or a really bad job, then you won't. So, because if you got 10 enemies in front of you and you kill all 10, bam, 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 you're only going to get, I think you're using more ammo, just top of my mind, you're using more ammo than you would be earning back. And you're doing it so fast that 60 seconds isn't going to help you. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it's not horrible. I did realize, you know, I kind of digested it on that stream and I was looking at it afterwards and I was thinking like, well, I think for snipers, it doesn't change a heck of a lot. It does make the backpack a little bit more enticing because now you get 30% damage and that could balance out what you lost. I don't know, because of, they gave you an extra 10%. Total weapon damage, so there's that. Yeah, I don't know. What up, DJ? Kingston? So you see me thinking it through, but I'm not looking at it right now. But the reality is I looked at it and I was like, at the end of the day, the net situation is, for snipers, not much, if anything, changes. So the only thing that changes is you got to get a kill. But the reality is that if you just think about it, if you watch all of my sniper builds where I use attack 50 and we're just getting started, you don't have tip of spear buff on your first bullet. The first bullet activates it, which means you then have to put a second shot. So if you're going for the same target, what that means is, and it's an elite, it's going to be 2 shots to kill an elite. And so it's going to be the same thing here. You're going to have no buff until you kill that elite, and it's going to take 2 shots to kill the elite anyways. With attack 50, with or without the buff, depending on your build, of course. There's some variables there, but like, so yeah, you know, I think we're all right. Yeah, that's right, Grumpy, and I think we'll even have a stronger cap, wouldn't we? Because the backpack, if you decide to keep that, you got 30% damage coming out of that, and then they buffed the weapon damage. Well, it's kind of a buff and a debuff, right? Because they debuffed total weapon damage, buffed TAC 50 damage, but I think that's a win. We'll see. See an equalizer? We'll see. Whatever it is, on the positive side, it's not going to be a massive change. It's going to be a mechanic improvement. One of the big things I think they're trying to do is give us more backpack options without actually giving us backpack options by making gear more useful, which is good, right? That's good. That could be a good chest piece. Bellstone, farming Bellstone makes me happy, by the way. So, you know, it's giving us a better backpack. I think it's all about the backpack chest piece when they do this kind of stuff a lot of the time. And then, of course, you know, reviving and made what they consider a dead set. And it is kind of dead in the sense of it doesn't get talked about a lot. But it's a really good set. I use it regularly for sure. It's good. So pretty straightforward build. So you can do this a couple of different ways. So I like running mine with the memento for the power and the bonus armor, but it's mostly about the bonus armor and the regen. So if you noticed, we had all the survivability we needed without gunner. You could also run firewall, get rid of the TAC 50 and then run the nemesis, or not use the nemesis at all. You're fine without it. But the fastest way to one-shot everybody is the TAC 50 or the nemesis. So that's why I keep it. But yeah, so, you know, whatever. Or you go back to gunner if you wanted to. But firewall would be nice if you're looking for more damage, and then by doing that, you could probably add one more armor core. You could probably run one more armor core anyways, but and then Providence, you know, I'm running that because, you know, if you decided to go Badger, that's not going to help the TAC 50. And the TAC 50 is part of my playstyle, so is the pistol. So Providence helps that too. So Badger would only help the shotgun, but if you're going to help just not worry about any other weapon, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But 1.5 million base damage. Looking good. And then the regen with the bonus armor, and then so there's 30% bonus armor on kill, 20% armor on kill, 50% total armor on kill, and then the 3% regen underneath that. Yeah, I felt very healthy. When my armor broke, which happened millions of times, like, I was never worried, you know? It's like, let me just kill this guy real quick. We'll hide and cover for like 1 second, you know? And I don't need to be at full armor. I need to be at fighting strength. There's a difference. And fighting strength is about 30% armor, you know? And really, it's not about strength. It's about, can I take a little bit of damage with my time to kill, which should be quick enough. It's sort of relative to your time to kill, right? And then when it's outside of your build, it's about your confidence level. And most people tend to be about 30%. So if you look at it this way, let's say you're fighting a legendary. When you're down to 30% armor, you'll notice you'll play more timidly, maybe even hide and cover, right? Or use an armor kit anytime you go below 30, even before your armor breaks. So you just start playing differently. So that's part of it. That's confidence. And then the other part is in order to play with these types of builds, you got to be able to get out of cover, which means you can take some damage. And you need enough to, you need to kind of match what you can absorb according to your time to kill. So in time to kill, this one's really fast. It's mostly about getting a clean shot on the enemy. So anyways, I feel like this is a really good place to be, 1.3 million armor with that kind of regen underneath and the bonus armor. Without the bonus armor, you're probably going to want to go to gunner, you know? If you're not going to run bonus armor, if you can go power, then go to gunner, because I don't know why you need the more power. You saw what we were doing. But in case you wanted more power, then you need to go to gunner if you're going to get rid of the memento with all its bonus armor and regen, and because you're going to need to make up for what you lost in defense. So, you know, it's technically a trade-off. You know, I'm not sure it's a win to add more power, because you're sort of getting rid of more power by losing your TAC 50 in a way, but you could use the Nemesis. Or you could use the shield, but you again want some armor on kill. And so if you decide to go 2 Bellstones, then again, you're sacrificing some damage there to pull in more armor on kill. So yeah, you know, you're just moving pieces around, but really cool, really fun. All right, the next one we're gonna run today is the Z Commando. Schwarzenegger. Remember his old movie Commando? That's what this gun reminds me of. You know, save, like, I haven't looked closely at, like, PTS playthroughs on this stuff, actually, to tell you the truth. So most of my feedback is just from the patch notes, from what I can see. But on the chest piece, I see it as a support build chest piece. So, and it's going to be about fire too for me, I feel like, or blinding grenades. Those are pretty cool too. But I don't see why you would run it on a damage build of any sorts. Unless you're going to be a full-time lefty, as if that... See, the thing about lefty is, like, yeah, that damage is nice, but I'm not sure it's... For the weapon trade-off you're using, I'm not sure it's worth it, right? I mean, maybe the stage left, maybe. But the lefty is such a weak-ass shotgun. It's this ACS, you know? It's like, yeah, it's got a strong talent, but... What about when they're not on fire from your grenade? You know, like, I guess you can melee them, isn't that right? Whatever, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's a tool, but I think it's going to be for team support builds, either in the status department or a healer. I think it'd be cool for a healer. There's a way for them to contribute. And then, you know, any hybrid team support build too. But it's sort of like Ridge Race Pride. You don't see a lot of us running Ridge Race Pride because it's bringing some sort of utility more than anything. And that utility doesn't add much. And then it's zonal, and all those conditions make it not that cool. You know what I mean? So like the conditions I'm talking about are like, they got to be inside 15 meters. And when there's only one enemy bleeding, I mean, you're just not getting shit really out of it, you know? So it's a Ridge Race Pride chess piece is what it is. Just, it's grenades now. You know what I mean? So yeah, Ridge Race Pride has its use cases, right? And so you might run Ridge Race Pride with an ongoing directive build, so you don't have to run skill tiers. So again, utility, you know, and that's, you're willing to accept that because what are you doing? You're doing a team support build. You see what I'm saying? So it kind of all goes back to that, you know. Ridge Race Pride shines best at team support builds or tank builds. So it's a conditional gear piece. You know, it's not going to be a use all, you know. I mean, even with the SMG, right? Like, it's pretty darn good, but it's not going to be a use all simply because of range, right? It's not like the assault rifle, which is, you know, damn useful at any range. Running gun, you know, medium long, you know. So, you know, it's oops, what am I trying to put here? Headshot damage. So the SMG is gonna be good, but it's not gonna be like the St. Elmo's from that perspective, usability, because you got to get up there. And I'm sure I'll be seeing people using it like the Scorpio. Like, you know what I mean? So you see people using the Scorpio shotgun from like 30 meters out, and it sort of works. It does from a status effect perspective, but from a damage perspective, how many reloads are going into that process? You know, a lot, right? Luckily, it's got a fast reload. Yeah, Ridge Race grenade. So I'll use it. I'll probably put together some pretty cool builds for it, you know? I mean, it's going to be in that Wingman series. I like it. Should I Rainier? Would that be cool? I don't know. Would I, in just chatting, wouldn't I have to take off the Division 2 designation? Or how would that work? I'm not super savvy with outside the nuances of what I do. Why can't I run the digital scope? Aren't I running sharpshooter? I am. Oh, I know what I did. I accidentally took off rifles. Let me go back. Sorry. I want the digital scope for this, I think. The 8X scope actually works pretty good on this. Yeah, so chest piece, backpack, weapon talent. So they're really, that's all you have for talents, right? That's it. So if you imagine running this new chest piece with the new SMG, you are down 2 talent slots. So when it comes to damage, you're leaning all in on your gear set damage, which I guess you can. I mean, I have a few builds that are strong that way. But the backpack talent, right? That's it. That's the last talent. So you know, you have to be careful with that chest piece and where you want to squeeze it in with what build. But again, that's why team support builds and healer builds are going to be sort of no-brainers for it. But it's gotta, I do wonder, you know, like before I always felt like something had a direct application. Like we'd get this new gear set like Foundry and it was perfect for Iron Horse and obviously Legendary. Basically anything, it works for anything of course, but there was like these direct applications and now we're kind of missing that. Like Heartbreaker came out with Countdown and it was like perfect for that, right? And with this one, I'm like, what are we going to use it for? Is it going to be good in the incursions? Are we going to get people coming from 360? Because I'm trying to figure that out, and I'm kind of thinking like, well,
Hostile control point detected.
I mean, it's fun, and there's that part, so let's just set that aside for a second. But like, why wouldn't I just use Riot Foam on my Eclipse Protocol build? Wouldn't my team just be happier if I just hold them still so that they can shoot them instead of causing them to run around crazy with their heads on fire, waving their arms? You know what I mean? Like, or wouldn't you rather me just use the explosive turret and just keep them dancing and out of cover? I should have put on a decoy. I forgot to do that. Let me do that real quick. So I'm running now perfectly naked. And so it's a pretty cool talent. I mean, I'm running Headhunter. You don't have to. It's sort of a choice. It kind of works out. Oh, God, horrible grenade. Kind of works out to be the same as Focus in the end of the day, you know. But it's preference. So you see the little leaf there on the corner, and so you'll see that its uptime is pretty good. So this guy's got armor. So, but as soon as I break his armor, it'll turn it on. You see that? So now I have it. So you get it on the enemy that you're using it on, and then you earn it back pretty quickly for future enemies. You know, I kind of got this with the Memento and Hot Shot, but the reality is it's probably a good build to play from cover from. You can still move a lot, so there's nothing wrong with the Memento, but I'm just saying, like, it's not really a running gun too much. There's nothing wrong with the Memento, because as you can see, I'm still getting those. But with Hot Shot, the big advantage is getting ammo back, and that's SVD's weakness. So if you're not familiar with Naked, and not many people are because we don't use it too much, but it gives you 50% headshot damage. So let me show you that. So 50% headshot damage for 8 seconds. I mean, that's huge. That's a big, big chunk. And so I've always been a fan of the SVDs. They do have handling issues, but they sort of got a buff with Hot Shot. Handling issues and ammo issues. So
Heavily armored hostile detected.
oh, you're not gonna like this. Perfect timing. This guy comes out with that boss, right? Of course he did.
Critical.
The foam guy with the boss. Saw somebody coming behind me too, so I had to get out of there. Remember I said 2 riot foamers? Those are situations we should run. Yeah. Handles like a dream now, right? So before the SVT was all over the place, but now because of the 30% weapon handling you get from Hotshot, pretty cool. You might not want to run 4 pieces of Hotshot with this. I don't know. I don't, you know, it might not be doing this a lot of justice here. Why aren't you dead yet? How many times am I hitting your head? There we go. So of course you got the Dread Edict competing in this slot too, which is a pretty darn good gun. And again, SVD's sort of got a buff. So I'd have to think about that for a second here and think, why would you choose this weapon over the SVD Dread Edict? So the Dread Edict gives you more damage, headshot damage and weapon damage. And it reloads a mag if you can chain kill with it. And it's so easy to do with that because you got 10 rounds to chain kill. So you just got to get your headshot kill before you run out of ammo. And then if you do that, if you get a headshot kill before you run out of ammo, to refill your ammo. So you got 10 shots to accomplish that. Pretty easy. And so it's a good way to get around your ammo issues, which these weapons have. See how I got the thing? So that's health, right? I mean, it's a good way. If you're not familiar with what's health and what's not in this game, you should put on this gun and go around and shoot things. So if I shoot his tank, it's well, his armor's broken now. But so where's his turret? So watch his turret, right? See that? I don't know why it didn't pop up right away. It should have though, because it's refreshable. Yeah, there it is. See that? So I can refresh it. So the turret's health damage, right? And so you can use their tech to keep refreshing your 50% headshot damage and then apply it to whoever. If I can find somebody's head. Yeah, SVDs are kind of fun to run, you know? They require a little bit of focus. Because you know, you kind of want to get these 2-3 shot cadences. You don't want to spam the trigger too much unless you're running a lucky shot. I don't remember what mods I have. Thanks for that. Fucking fire grenade. God damn. She wasn't even looking at me. She got that grenade landed. Got my headshot damage. Running out of ammo now. We got a headshot kill. See, that's what I mean. So I don't know if Hotshot is worth it. I might be better off taking on more damage, getting rid of Hotshot, and then using less ammo. Because otherwise you'll be annoyed by the ammo. Just not be annoyed, but well, it's annoying. But you'd have to more importantly keep your eye on it. But you can chain kill. But we're gonna need to get rid of a Hotshot to do that. That 4th piece, because it's holding us back. Let's see about that. I mean, you can run it Araldi, you can run a Habsburg. Let's run that one. Weapon handling would be good to have with it though. So let's take a Providence. You can never have enough weapon handling with the good old SVD. No such thing as too much weapon handling. So let's shoot his tank and see if we get it. Ah, come here. Showing blue. Maybe it was because his armor was broken. Hold on, where'd he go? Yeah, it must have been because I broke his armor, that one guy. So it is health. These tanks are health, but they're not giving it to me. They're counting it as armor. I don't know why. So weak points are health damage. But it's not considered no armor, apparently. So, yeah. All right. But that turret is. See that? You might be better off with aces on this too, but I like the weapon handling. You could run a ninja bike backpack also. I've run my ninja bike SVD build is pretty good. Because you can run basically 4-piece aces and get the major buffs out of the gear set. Come on, dude. Come on, give me a shot. These guys are being suppressed a lot. There we go. You like that? Got more. Tux pie. Sweetest thing west of the Mississippi. Really? Got the boss right here. Let's see how this goes. So bullshit that they gave me body shot damage on that first one. 2 million shot, non-crit. Yeah, so of the set, it's probably not my favorite of the three. But I really like it. It's a pretty good gun. I guess it's more of a surprise on how good it is. You know? The challenge to it really is how good the Dread Edict is. So that's the challenge to this weapon. But as far as 50% of headshot damage, that's pretty damn useful. What do we got on this build? 304. So that pushes us to 355. But you got a lot of options with the SVD, more than you do with the sniper. What's going on, Carl? Or how am I saying your name here? K Hair Rules. I have to study your name here for a second. Thanks for your sub, man. Appreciate that. I better. Kai? Is it Kai Rules? It's K. Or is it K Hair? Damn it! That one K Hair? Okay. There's a delay, so I gotta slow it when I talk, right? Because there's like a few second delay from when I talk to what you hear. So you can replace the talent with like Ranger. You can put Obliterate. You can even run Preservation. So there's a lot of options for an SVD. So that, you know, SVDs are, I really like them in this game. I do. Again, they have their downsides, but they're a fun one to integrate into your build, playthrough, or your gameplay from time to time. Just, you know, to switch it up. It's Probably never gonna be probably your #1 go-to, but that Dread Edict is borderline. I'm telling you, it is fucking good. And I put up a whole video on it. Maybe even last season it was. The King, it's called. And I call it that because it's like a Bullet King, because you can never reload. And you can one-shot kill pretty regularly with that thing. And I run it with the 4-piece aces. And it's a good gun. And none of us felt that way when it first came out. We were like, yeah, it's all right. You know, cool. All right, we used it. Moving on. You know, it wasn't bad. It wasn't good. But SVDs had glaring handling issues. And when it came out, it was many seasons ago. It's not that old, but I don't know, what, 3 or 4 seasons ago. And it was before Hot Shot. So when the Hot Shot came around, it was like, oh, wow. And that's how I use it. It's a Ninja Bike build. So I use the Ninja Bike backpack, 2 pieces Hot Shot, literally 2 pieces Hot Shot, and then 3 pieces Aces. And so you got all the power you need and survivability, because it gives you bonus armor too. So when you accidentally reload, and then, you know, you're playing from cover with that. So it's just a good gun. So the reason why I'm talking about it is because that's the biggest problem with the Commando, is that the Kingbreaker or the exotic SVD, I just forget the damn name of it, is a really good contender. There's the MG5 right there. Decent damage on it. Good range, which is going to be important. So why mine's not even max? I got to re-roll that, so I'm missing a lot of damage actually, about 6%. So why would you run an SVD over like the White Death, as an example? Because you're shooting in 2-3 shot bursts. So basically it's a burst fire weapon, not by design, but by use. And so it takes the pressure off of your one shot, your one round, right? That one bullet, it's got to land. You land it or you don't. Where this one is like wham, 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 wham. And so sometimes it's one shot, it kills. Sometimes it's 3 bullets and it kills, but it all happens very fast in a quick little succession of shots. And so it's more, that's basically, it's more forgiveness on your aim. And it's really at a happy place between a rifle and a sniper more than anything. Double kill. Not literally, but.
Reinforcements en route.
Its biggest drawback then, because handling has been addressed, is going to be its ammo. So you can't spam too much. So that's why you want to burst in 2-3 shot sequences, because if you go too crazy, you're gonna run out of ammo. They just don't give you enough ammo. And they talked about fixing that with snipers, and they never got around to it, but. You didn't like that, huh? But it's an easy way to get to 2 million. You see that? Like, you're shooting at 2 million, hitting at 2 million plus, really, in no time. I mean, there's 5 million right there, right? So it's if you think about it in a perspective of a rifle and not a marksman, okay? So think of it 7.3 million. So think about it in terms of, hey, this isn't a marksman rifle. This isn't an SVD. This is like more like an M1A. An M1A that hits at 10 million, right? And so that's basically what it is. And so if you can think about it that way, then you're gonna look at the gun completely differently. And be like, wow, my M1A hits for 10 million. What does yours do? You know? It can't chain kill, that's for sure, right? Now, what the M&A has over the SVD is rifles don't have ammo issues because they give you more ammo. So, you know, and you can go no scope with these things, and you can run and gun with them, by the way. So we did that build. You guys might even remember it. So yeah, I have an SVD Hunter's Fury build. Sounds crazy, and it is, but it works. And you know, I like to try crazy shit like that, and I'm always surprised when it comes out working because I'm like, wow, that one's that's actually pretty damn good.
Hostile supply convoy detected. Heavily armored hostile detected.
Yeah, but 50% of headshot damage, and you don't even really have to think about it. So you don't need a kill to get it, right? You just gotta land one shot on a non-armored target, whatever it is. Even if you're an elite, as long as you break that armor, right? Why can't I? So yeah, so I kind of look at it as a chain killing rifle. And if they fix that ammo issue, it would actually be perfect. I'd probably never run rifles again. Because you know me, I like my one-shot kills. Bosses just don't have a chance. Just wail in on him.
Incoming hostiles detected.
SVDs do a pretty good job at staggering. So yeah, I think to really find its place in this game, the commando, we need an answer. Maybe you can help me figure it out. Why would we run this over the Dread Edict? What does it bring? I mean, one answer is, well, your other weapon might be an exotic. You might be running the Nemesis or the Mantis. And maybe
Detecting additional hostile contacts.
when like ammo issues become a situation, you start switching to your other sniper. Come on, dude. And by the way, you don't have to run a 12x scope like I am. The 8x scope works just fine. I like the zoom and all that shit. Extra headshot damage with this one also. But the 8x scope gives you enough power. You have enough power. So. I guess one other positive over this is it's easy damage. It's really the kind of damage you don't think about. You just don't have to think about it. You earn it, you get it. Just go around and shoot things. Don't worry about it. You have it sometimes you don't.
Hostile supply convoy nearby.
Which can also be looked at as a bad thing. Because after a while, you'll be like, wait a second. You're telling me that I'm just as effective without that 50% headshot damage. Yeah, I am telling you that. You know what I mean? I am telling you that. I'm aware I'm telling you that too. Right? And so, you know, I don't know. So it's a pro and a con. Well, no, actually, I mean, realistically though, when you have it, you're gonna be putting out less bullets and it's gonna lead to less ammo issues. So you know, that's just not as is so obvious, right? Because it's not going to play out until the end of 180 rounds, and it's hard to track off because you're still grabbing ammo. See, I just picked up a bunch of ammo right there, but thank God they're dropping ammo, huh? But if you do run no scope SVD, then that also stands out. But I don't know if I want to make a case for that against the Dread Edict. But do you see how hard she was killed? She became a harder target when she was on fire. Yes, she wasn't shooting at me, but she's blocking her head. And so let me tell you something. When they come up with that new fire skill shit, gear set stuff, make sure I'm not running a sniper build if you're gonna play on my team. Okay? Because you're gonna irritate the fuck out of me. I'm like, man, I can't get a headshot because you keep catching everybody on fire and they're wiggling around and panicking, and that doesn't help me with landing my headshots. You know? It just foam them. I'm gonna say this to you. Just foam them and hold them still, and I will clear that whole goddamn room in 30 seconds. Hey, Dragon, do you remember when we were... did the Anderson manhunt for the first time and you were playing the Eclipse build? And like we had infinite waves of elite enemies coming at us, and we didn't know that it was infinite. We were like, okay. And so me and him were handling the NPCs while the other two guys were taking on the activity, the objective task, you know. And I mean, but my point is like that's how effective snipers could be. I mean, we were holding down between his riot foam and my sniper. We were holding down endless hordes of elite enemies. And that Countdown Anderson, they eventually changed it. So, and I haven't done it since I got my Doctor home, but. And so my point is, it's like such an ideal matchup. It's probably the best, in my opinion. And I'm obviously gonna have to have a sniper on your team for that concept to work, but there's nothing better than a sniper and a riot foam Eclipse person. You know, I mean, two snipers especially. If you can get two snipers and a riot foam person on the build in the game, and then an assault rifle guy or a tech guy. The reason why is because you want that tech assault rifle guy, ideally, to handle the tech, right? So you don't have to waste your time with them. I mean, like tanks and warhounds. So you put one guy on that, but the riot foam guy can handle them too, right? Because his other skill can be an EMP. But it's such a good combo for legendary. I mean, we can clear shots, and you know, there's a lot of people out there that are good with their snipers. So it's one of my favorite combos. But certain things like a riot foam also works with explosive builds, such as an artillery turret, right? Because it groups your enemies and you kill them all very fast that way. But what it doesn't work for is explosive builds, and snipers also don't work because it shakes the screen all over the place. You know, because explosions shake the screen, and it's just like, you know, you're trying to get a headshot, and that's definitely adding an obstacle. Also, shock isn't super good for snipers either. I mean, there's just nothing better than riot foam, but shock is okay for assault rifles. But the reality is, if you think about it, it's like it's hard to land those headshots when they're wiggling everywhere.
Hostile control point nearby.
The M1A Classic, I'm not sure if it hits harder than this. I can't remember. It can't chain kill, so, and that's because, I mean, it can, actually, let me take that back. It can, but you gotta tightly configure that build. I do have a classic M1A chain killer build. I actually run it with Determined, so I don't even use a damage talent on it. The downside is you can't run too much armor on it. Which, if you could run a lot of armor, that would be ideal. Really? Come on. I mean, I got out of there. Fucking bullshit. I swear it moves even after the fact. I mean, that took 3-4 shots to kill him. I don't know. I feel like that's pretty reasonable. I mean, some of those shots didn't all land, right? But rifles are much more flexible and easier to use. I mean, the biggest win in a rifle, besides the ammo, okay, if we just forget about the ammo for a second, is the weapon handling. So they don't need as much weapon handling, and that opens up more space on your build. And so that's, at the end of the day, and a lot of people use their rifles, the M1As, to kill on body shots, right? Which obviously I'm trying to avoid the bodies. So yeah, you know, rifles are gonna have a lot more flexibility, and you know, I'm not sure damage is really the topic. You know what I mean? Because they both killed really well. It's just that the SVDs are headshot builds, right? A little bit. I mean, it's okay to put 1 or 2 shots in the body. There's nothing wrong with that. But for the most part, we're going for headshots because that's what we're spec'd into. And SVDs actually are one of the builds that's worth spec'ing into crits. So you can turn them into body shot headshot builds. And actually, most people do that with their SVDs. And I have a few builds like that from back in the day. So you run, you know, the pristine example and with perfect focus, which you could also do with rifles, obviously. And go to town, basically. So we're chain killing most of these fools here. One of the other goods, but yeah, so I got a determined M1A build, and it can chain kill. It's a little sensitive because it doesn't have as much headshot damage, but it's possible, and it's a good build. It works. I like it. But really, the rifles win again. So let me see if I can demonstrate here. So, well, I'm running a scope, so I can't. I'll show you in a second after this fight. But the handling, and so the handling is going to come down to the crosshairs and how fast rifle crosshairs close. That's really what it is. And so, besides slots on your gear, right, the SVDs are almost impossible to run without some sort of handling. I mean, you can, but you're not going to have fun. You know, you're not going to have fun. I got 30% weapon handling coming off of that, and then another 14%. Or 16%. So I got a lot of handling on this build. Rifles, you don't need any of that. And so that can all go to headshot damage, or probably not headshot damage because you'd already have that spec'd in theory. But something. Crit damage, armor regen, repair skills, whatever. You'd probably be running crits, but I'm just talking apples to apples. So yeah, that's a big deal. And then because the crosshairs close faster, it gives it a utilitarian faster time to kill. Because you're going to be more accurate, you're going to miss less shots. Also, you can shoot faster on target. You don't have to wait for the crosshairs to close. Now with the scope, I don't worry about crosshairs, but we're just talking about weapon to weapon here for a sec. Yeah, so rifles are all around better than SVD, but I would say that it's not really a power thing, a damage thing so much, except for where I would say damage is what stand out on the rifles is really the diversification of that damage. Because rifles in general are spec'd less of the headshot damage, which means it's gonna be more crits. You have more you can do more body shots, right? And that's how a lot of people play with their M1As. So I gotta say, when it comes with 2 headshots, I feel like the SVD is a smoother rifle to get those 2-3 shots on the head. But that's really because, just kind of countering that thought, I think it's because I'm using like this 12X, where a lot of people use the 8X scope or no scope at all in the rifles, which is kind of a shame. I feel like I'm not judging. I'm not judging, but it's kind of a shame to not use a scope on your rifle. It's a rifle. I mean, I don't understand why so many people are afraid of an 8X scope. You know what I mean? It's a rifle. Like, go play Call of Duty or whatever. It's just like, see, everybody's using scopes, you know? On rifles. But for Division 2, we don't like scopes on rifles. I don't know why. So when the Doctor's Home came out, everybody was complaining, oh my God, it's on the scope. That sucks. It's like, does it though? I mean, that one sucks because there's no 30% headshot damage. So that's kind of, you're kind of being robbed there. They decided to give you RPMs instead of that, but, which, okay. But scopes are game changers, so if you can change your mentality around that, you're probably doing yourself a little bit of a favor. It's an easy 30% equivalent to crit damage on your build. And in my opinion, you're gonna land more headshots with it, just because you get better visibility. Easier to make smaller adjustments when you're zoomed in. And the 8X scope isn't really zoomed in that much. But yeah, I hate the reticule on it. It's crappy, but it's still usable. Yeah, that's true, Kyle. You know, don't you think that's kind of lame that our range is so short in this game? What is up with that? I mean, I think it's because for map issues, right? But now that you mention it, I've always kind of been disappointed. I want to make a 2-mile shot. I want to curve my bullet with the goddamn earth. You know? I want to calculate the moon's gravitational pull on my bullet. No, but 100 meters is kind of weak sauce, isn't it? God, these turrets are fucking nasty. Take out this guy. So right there is kind of a good use case for this sniper. Yeah, but the biggest glaring issue, like all else aside, is SVDs and their ammo issues are just, you know, the Kingbreaker, I'm sorry, not the Kingbreaker, I keep saying that. The Dread Edict is the only one that can avoid it. But, I mean, you can put on Lucky Shot and that's gonna help. That will help. But it's so limiting, right? Yeah, I think the SVD class could use a little help. Because they're fun weapons in just about every game, right? Actually, I wouldn't mind seeing another rifle in our game, too. I could use a couple of new weapons. I could use... I could use a 50 caliber sniper. That's a non-exotic. Or an exotic, I guess, but just a 50 cal. Not a railgun, you know, not a specialization weapon, but a 50 caliber, just boom. Hell, I'm gonna take down helicopters, you know? And then I would like another rifle too. I don't know what I'd be looking for though. It's kind of something that kind of plays between a sniper something that plays between an M1A and like a tactical 1886, basically. So you guys ever remember that movie? It was with Bruce Willis, and it's called Something Son. Something Son. It's where he goes to Africa and to help like this humanitarian. It's kind of a nice glove. Before these African rebels get her, you know, there's some sort of military genocide going on. Bruce Willis went, and he was like, I think he was Navy SEALs is what he was. He was part of a Navy SEALs unit. And like, I really liked the way that they played, or that they demonstrated their tacticalness in that movie. But Tears of the Sun, thank you, Fog. Hey, Fog, what's up, bro? You heard Judgment? I just saw you. Come in. Tears of the Sun, thank you. So yeah, such a good movie, by the way. But do you remember there was this guy that was his marksman? So he had a sniper that was like in the trees, you know what I mean? All gummed up and stuff. And then there was that like final battle where they were basically overwhelmed, and then they had to run for it eventually, right? Whatever. But if you remember that scene, he had like a rifleman with him, and who probably eventually died or whatever. I think he did. I think he was the one that died in the river as they were running towards the camp, the refugee camp. But if you noticed, he was like a marksman rifle player. So, I mean, I don't know what you call that military-wise, but I like that. Basically, he's using the equivalent of like a SOCOM M1A is basically what he was using. And he would play in a scope, but I'm sure it was something like a 4.5 mag, or maybe it was an adjustable, who knows? Maybe an 8X. But he wasn't like, you know, brrr, no, he was like, choo, 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 you know, and taking him out. You know what I mean? Each one of those shots counted. And that's why I like that kind of gameplay, whether it's snipers or rifles or pistols, because it's a little bit more, I guess I want to just use the word tactical. I don't know why, but it obviously requires more precision. It just seems more efficient and targeted. Designated marksman rifle, is that what you would call that? Yeah, okay. Okay, like COD. You know, like Call of Duty, right? Because they have a battle rifle, yeah. Is that what he used, you think, the M104 battle rifle? I'm gonna look that up. Because I want one. Yeah, it's basically the M1A, but the M14. I mean, I think it was a modern version of it. Let's see. Like a tactical version, something a little more. It looked like the M1A that he was using. It looked technical. More than traditional. Yeah, maybe this one. The Springfield M1A SOCOM. Yeah, it looked like that. Something like that. One of the tactical versions. Similar to our M1A CQB, I guess. From what I remember, I'm kind of going off of memory here, but yeah, I like that. You know, I like that. Like if the world came to an end or whatever, if we found ourselves in some sort of battle here, then that's the kind of weapon I think I would lean into. You know, because also for ammo issues, you know, I think we'd run into ammo issues, and you know, where you're gonna get your ammo, probably gonna have to make it, and so conservation. But I don't think I'd want to use like an assault rifle, you know? It's same for just in this game. I mean, I love assault rifles. I always have fun. Like I had a great time with that ACR-E. But like somebody was asking me the other day, like, don't you get bored of like your one-shot kill builds? It's sort of the same thing. Like, don't you get bored of your assault rifle build? You know, like, I mean, you know, I use them all though, so I try to rotate. But yeah, my home base is headshot builds, but it doesn't have to be a sniper. It can be a rifle, a pistol, shotgun.
In distress.
One of the reasons why I like the headshot builds in the Division specifically, but I always tend to lean to headshot builds in any game I play, so you know. Even in Starfield, I was saying that the other day. Like right now, I'm literally making a Pablo Escobar, Han Solo, ninja assassin sniper, drug lord. You know, like it's so cool what you can do in that game. So you know how there's outposts, so you create outposts, so you can build manufacturing outposts, right? That where you got things extracting resources and you can develop basically narcotics. So like, you know, the AMP narcotic, which helps you like have superhuman capability, not superhuman, but you know what I mean. You run faster and you got more health for a limited time kind of thing. And so you can manufacture that and then end up selling it and earn a bunch of currency, passive revenue that way. But my point is like, even in those games, I lean towards the snipers class. It seems really cool, you know? I mean, and not just snipers though, but there's like, I got this really good pistol in that game. It's a revolver. It's basically like the equivalent of the Regulus. I can't remember the name of it now, but it's sick. It's a 6-shooter. And it's a one-shot kill 6-shooter. And so, and I'm still pretty early in the game, right? Like, not super high levels, but I'm going around one-shotting these guys with this one particular pistol that's like super strong. And then in Battlefield, I love the long-range sniping in Battlefield. Same with Call of Duty. Call of Duty is actually pretty cool. I really enjoyed Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. But, you know, I didn't put that many hours into it in the end because some of the things get old, and boy, oh boy, are they in trouble with X-Defiant. I think it is going to be a COD killer, you know? But one of those things that gets old in that game is the stupid the things that you earn. I'm sorry, I just forgot the name of it. But the capabilities that you earn on chain killing, you know? I mean, they just get spammed. I mean, just because the maps have enough players to where it's just like it's raining bombs on the spawns, you know? And that just sucks, you know? I mean, you die, you spawn, and you immediately die, and then you spawn again, and you immediately die. And sometimes you die like 10 feet out of the door, which is almost worse. Because it was more of a waste of time. Because you ran 10 feet, nothing, and you didn't actually get any... I mean, I'd rather die right out of the gate than 10 feet out of the gate, right? Because it's just like, you're wasting time when you're inevitably gonna just die. Come here, dudes.
Civilians in danger.
Oh, you see that glitch bullshit? How are we supposed to play with that? I mean, that's bullshit, you know? Did you guys see that little short I put out the other day? Where, I mean, it's a common NPC glitch, tactic, whatever you want to call it. But it's that one where I'm shooting at this lady. Actually, it's this lady right here. I'm shooting at her. She's standing right in front of me. I'm using the St. Elmo's, right? And she goes to dive, and like she hits the ground and basically does a back handspring backwards. You know what I mean? And goes back on her feet and then runs away. And it's just like, in that process, I missed like, I don't know, half my mag because of that bullshit, you know? And it's just like, oh, how are we supposed to fight that? You know? And they want to nerf things like determined. Like, you can't nerf determined when you have your NPCs doing that kind of bullshit. If you're gonna nerf fucking weapon talents like that, then fix the NPCs, because that's bullshit. You know? It's just like, they're impossible to shoot and kill as the way they're designed, and then they do shit that they're not supposed to be able to do, and it makes it even worse. It's like, I mean, you can have a slow time to kill. That's why I think weapon handling is the most important thing, especially fucking reloads speed. I mean, that's probably the most critical thing on builds nowadays, which is probably why the St. Elmo's is the real meta in this game, because NPCs are just ridiculous. I mean, look at that. You know what I mean? Dodging those shots and shit. Like, he's ducking for no fucking reason. Like, who was shooting at him besides me? He wasn't even looking at me. And he was sitting here dodging and weaving. Because of who? So it's just like, I mean, if he was looking at me, I kind of get it. But yeah, so they already make him hard. They already have him doing somersaults all over the place. And now they're defying physics. You know what I mean? Now they're defying physics. And they always kind of have. But it did get worse over the last year or 6 months or whatever. And then, what about the one where you stand in front of the spawn door, the door opens, and they jump on the door jamb? They jump straight up and they're standing on the door jamb. How many, forget about the glitch, how many bullets did you waste in the process of missing as they jumped up instantly? Right? So you're expecting them to be standing in front of you, so you start shooting and they magically disappear and end up 6 feet higher than where they're supposed to be. And, you know, and in that time, you lost half your mag, you know? And that's why so many of these things in this game where we're just can't be ignored. And that's why you can't make builds on paper in this game. It's just like, who gives a crap? You're ignoring all the real shit. You know, it's just like, oh, I got the highest damage in the game, blah, blah, blah. You know, but it's just like, oh my God, yeah, but you're ignoring everything. The fact that they make you miss so much that you take all this extra damage, you know, and it's just like, you're pretending that you never take damage and that you never miss a bullet, you know? It's just like, let's get real. This is the Division 2. You're always taking damage. Stop pretending you never take damage. You know? It's just like, but there's taking damage, and then there's bullshit taking damage, right? And that's what I'm talking about right now. So, where you take this unnecessary damage, you know? It's just like, I took an extra, you know, I lost half my armor because I was shooting at an invisible NPC that because I got pushed into a reload where instead of a kill, you know? And what if you were running something on kill build like Hunter's Fury, right? What if you're running a Hunter's Fury Dark Winters build? In that situation, at 1200 RPMs, okay, you probably lost all your mag to that enemy. Maybe you got a couple of shots into them, but they're still standing. You're in a reload, and you took damage along the way from everybody else running around. So you got no armor on kill, no damage on kill, and you're in a reload, no disorient status effect to buy you time for that reload. And that makes your build absolutely ineffective. And you've built based on your confidence. You designed your build because you're like, look, I got good situational awareness, I got the skills, and this build has the power, so I'm willing to take damage to get in their face and blast them all to hell with my short range SMG. And then they glitch on you, and it's just like, why am I running this fucking Hunter's Fury build? It's just like, they're glitching, and they're jumping back and forth, and they're bouncing, the grenades are curving, they're shooting through walls. It's just like, oh my God, you know? And my point is like, you have to have, my point is these things have always existed, right? In one form or another. complain. We do. The point is, you now have to account for it. Acceptance is key here, right? Because it's not going to change. So, in the form of acceptance is in your build. You now have to have extra survivability in your build. Extra.
Hostile control point nearby.
You know what I mean? And that's why all red builds are just ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not like judging from that kind of perspective, but it's just like from saying, like, you know, it's not that they're not effective from a power perspective, but it's just sort of like, well, one, you don't have to, and two, it's just like, you know, there's some realities to this game, whether you like it or not, where you need more. You need more than the basics, you know? This isn't a get good thing, you know? And I know people love to throw that little comment out there, just get good. Just get good. You know what I mean? People love to say that shit to you, right? It's just like, it's not about getting good. It's like, get real, you know? It's like, this game has got mechanics in it that circumvent your build and your skills. And so what are you gonna do about it? Is ignorance bliss in your scenario? Because not in mine. You know what I mean? It's not bliss, it's insufferable to run around and pretend there's no riot foam and to pretend there's no fire grenades that are ridiculously huge in impact. You know what I mean? And like, just all the crazy shit that goes on, right? And so it's just like, I think acceptance is key here. And that's why you need things like bonus armor and whatever. And my point is that, what are you gonna do about it, guys? It's up to you, and it's just like, it is in your control once you accept that it's there. But if you pretend to ignore it, you know what I mean? It's just, you're gonna die all the time, and you're gonna pretend that you don't, and you're gonna go around and brag about your all red build, and that's the only way you run your build is an all red build. But you're also running a reviver hive and using all your armor kits. You know what I mean? It's like, and off of a bunch of BS, where you can counter this shit. And that's what I'm saying. Like, some of the things, not all of it, some of these glitches are ridiculously stupid. But my point is, besides glitches, there's just the other BS damage that you take, or the tankiness of these NPCs. It all needs to be handled. You know, so glitches aside, there's other things that need to be handled. And it's you against 50 guys, you know, and that's what makes the St. Elmo's, and always the Scorpios have been that gun too, but like, the St. Elmo's is a really good gun. It fits into most people's play style, if not everybody. But that shock ammo can really come in handy. It's stopping some of that BS, you know? And then at least having a bigger mag is gonna help too, because of all they get you to miss so much because of all the crazy theatrics. And then, you know, now you got extra 20 rounds to basically shoot in the air, because all 70 of those rounds are not landing on target. I promise you that. You know, they're going dissipating into the air, because this game has got all these weird little NPC things, you know? And so my point is, like, also going back to like determined, and you know, the conversations of nerfing determined or reverting it or fixing it, whatever you want to call it. It's like, yeah, no. You know how many times I'm over here missing with determined, guys? I mean, I'm just out there missing with determined all the time. I probably, with determined, obviously I have runs where I don't miss anything. So yeah, that's also happening. But on average, I probably have a 50% accuracy with determined. Miss one, land one, miss one, land one. I mean, I see bullets going through their backpacks. It looks like bullets go right through their bodies, and they don't count, you know, and that's because there's, you know, from when that shot was scanned or executed versus when you visualize the bullet, might be off in frames, who knows? But either way, I'm seeing bullets. These guys are outrunning my bullets. I mean, it's just, I'm leading them with shots and still missing. Whether I legitimately miss or not is not the point. The point is, this game is hard enough where you're still missing a lot with determined, you know? And so I think it's an absolute necessity in this game. It's not breaking it, even if you are aiming for the body. I'm talking about body shots too, by the way. I'm talking about missing body shots, centering up square on an enemy and missing that shot, even at point blank range, because we have body flinch, and for some reason, even if your gun is pressed against the enemy's, you know, basically chess piece, you're still gonna miss because the game, it forces a missed shot no matter how close you are to the enemy. If you're taking body flinch, you know, they're just saying, sorry, we're not gonna give it to you. This is our way of punishing you for being out of cover, you know. And it's just like, so there's no counter to that, devs. There's no counter to that. Well, getting cover. I'm like, oh, that's stupid. You know what I mean? That's stupid because what if we're flanked? What if we're move cover? You know, it's just like, okay, fine, I get it. It can feel dumb strong. It can. I mean, it's a little cheesy. You know what I mean? But it's a necessity. You know what I mean? For sniping in this game to some degree. Now, I'd be happy with any version of it, to be honest with you. Like, you know, head, body, body, doesn't matter. But my point is like, even when you're on fire and the amount of shots that you're missing, it's pretty incredible. But all I got to say is if they do end up changing it dramatically, whatever the case, they need to take a look at Hotshot's talent headache, because whatever they do to determine is going to affect the use case of Hotshot. It's basically going to be usable with Mantis. That's about it. You know, I guess that's about it. You know, the Mantis, if they break Determined too much. So I think they need to look at Determined combined with re-evaluating Hotshot. What up, Suzuki? I see you. I see you answering my question on the Rising Sun. Glad to see you back, too. I don't know if you caught my comments last time you were here. Yeah, you know, I don't think it's too popular though. So I think it's popular. You'll see it talked a lot about during certain game modes, right? Like Reanimated, for example. And every now and again, somebody says, hey, this is the best sniper build in the game. It's always the same. They're running Vigilance on the backpack, Headhunter on the chest piece, the White Death, you know what I mean? And usually 4 pieces of Hotshot with Determined. And it's not the best sniper build in the game, but because it's all red, they like to call it that. So that's the only time you really see it talked about, but I don't really think it's being overutilized. And I think that's just because there's so many people that love the assault rifle category. Yeah, like Grumpy's saying, snipers are just not popular, you know? Which I hope I appeal to a certain crowd. You know what I mean? Because I do a lot of sniper builds. And I know they're not popular, but it's just like, that's kind of me balancing having fun with the game because I love snipers. But at the same time, like, I know that snipers aren't that popular just because most people love assault rifles. That's simply why, probably. You know what I mean? In any game, man. In any game. It's like everybody dabbles in SMGs, but at the end of the day, it's assault rifles. Snipers can be tough solo. Yeah, they can. It's just like anything, though. Once you get proficient with it, though, it actually makes content easier for me. You know, even if the Regulus, for example, didn't have the explosion on it, I mean, it's like the ultimate meta endgame build, I feel like. Hunter's Fury, Regulus, you know? Even without the explosions, just because it's a high base weapon damage pistol, easy to handle. Feels good, you know, to use that thing. But with the explosions, it's obviously nice. But, you know, when you think about 50% of your engagements are one-on-one in a control point, you're not getting the most out of those explosions. But what else do you need with Hunter's Fury, right? You got status effects, you got armor on kill, you get amp damage, so you don't really need anything. You don't need preservation, you know? And that's why I say, like, my D50 Determined weapon rivals the Regulus. It really does. And it's hard to say that because I love the Regulus, but the reality is that Determined on a D50 can play out a little bit faster, you know, because I'm always using Determined to D50 once it's active, and Regulus is like, I don't always get much out of that explosion. You know, if you do, you do, but many times you don't, right? But I like the Regulus just from the simple fact it just handles really nice. So I would love the Regulus with Determined, like another pistol that's got a high base damage like this with just Determined. That'd be cool. But yeah. So I think, but like, don't you notice like the assault rifles, just like in whatever game you go to, whatever shooter you go to, assault rifles, right? Not shotguns. You ever notice that? I mean, every now and again you'll see, you know, people running shotguns or whatever, but it's never like the go-to, right? Everybody's running assault rifles. Every game. COD, X Defiant, Battlefield, Starfield, Division 2, Division 1, and whatever. Ghost Recon. And it's not usually my favorite to go to. Like actually in X Defiant, it was the last weapon class that I used. And I was actually pretty amazed by it. I created this really amazing assault rifle. Like this amazing hipfire one. And it was really fun. I was like, wow, this is fun. I felt great. But they all felt good. The shotguns felt really good. I used every shotgun in there. The SMGs were pretty easy to adopt. Snipers were hard. I never really got my sniper skills down on that game. I didn't put enough hours into it to do it. Where those that came instantly mastered were already, you know, FPS sniper gods coming from Call of Duty. So for them, adopting it was pretty easy. But in the PvP format, sniping is quite a bit different, right? Because the way you snipe in PvP is you got to jump in the air, swing your sniper down, and quick scope them while you're still in midair. You know what I mean? So, because, yeah, you know, so, or you got to slide around corners while sniping, right? And hit them from a low shot. It's hard. You're sniping on the go in fast motion. And I haven't got that down yet, really. I don't spend enough time in first person shooters to have that all down. I was kind of getting the hang of it. That movement style with the other weapon class, but I didn't want to put too much time into snipers on a beta. You know what I mean? But just because it's just like, oh, I want to I want to experience the game, not the frustration. So. Oh, yeah, Fog of War. Oh, I hate that. Getting stuck with a dog or a tank without a buff. Yeah, sniping solo requires general planning, right? But it's sort of... It's not a heck of a lot different than any combat scenario because you still got your priority targets. You just priorities are based on one-shot killing. But there are rooms where you... it's hard to manage that, right? Where you walk into a room and all you have are 2 tanks. Like Roosevelt Island, where all you have are 5 warhounds. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever, how many warhounds are in there. Like, that sucks, right? It's like, oh, worst room ever for a sniper, you know? I mean, so you kind of got to anticipate, like, but for District Union Arena, like, I got actually for a while pretty good at, you know how on the I guess it would be the 4th checkpoint, there's those 2 warhounds just hanging out in that room all alone. I got good to a point where I would pull some before they got up, before they woke up, and then I would one-shot them both with a single bullet using the TAC 50. It wasn't a guarantee, so that was kind of annoying, but, you know, I'd hit it like half or a third of the time in solo runs with the sniper. Because I went through a phase where I was doing solo sniper runs, and I would actually use the Nemesis and the White Death and the TAC 50, that triple setup. I would use only 3 snipers. And my White Death was no scope. So when I'd get in these close quarter combats, I was just picking them off with no scope. But 1 shot, everybody dead. 2 shots to Chungas. But when you do miss that shot and you don't kill them, or you just damage them, or you miss altogether, which is pretty easy to do with the sniper, then, or you time out, then, oh my God, yeah, it's painful. It's just like, oh God, let me spend 15 minutes in this one room chasing these things around that are constantly running for my bullet. But yeah, so it's a good damage, so it's a good support person. I think that probably the best use case is to have a really good sniper and legendary along with whatever builds, right? Along with an assault rifle build, somebody who's handling the tech. And then this sniper is just going around picking these fools off and choosing your threat, the greatest threats like medics and healing station techs. The reason why is because, and the one reason advantage that a sniper has in legendary is it doesn't give a shit if they're standing in a healing tank, healing zone, right? Because one shot kill, they don't have any time to recover. And so you just bam, they're dead. Elite or not, right? Obviously you have to have your headhunter stack, but even non-elites go down without your headhunter stack. So it's got its pros in that. So you're the best guy to take out medics and healing station techs standing in heals, and then you just tell everybody else, you know what I mean? Like if you could strategize that, I think one sniper on a team is pretty darn good, I mean, he can one-shot those warhounds too, which is a huge advantage for the team who's spending multiple mags on a warhound and be like, let me just take him out real quick. You guys focus on that guy over there or whatever, So that's where I think a sniper's best application is it just being that clutch player on the team, specialty kills, But like when we go into some of these rooms, I mean, we can just clean up with that sniper build. Go on a nice little run, pick them off. And it's kind of nice for legendary because you actually don't spend a lot of time out of cover. When you're proficient, you kind of pop up, take his head, get back in cover. Where like an LMG or assault rifle, you have to stay out long enough to get through your mag. I mean, you can blind fire, but who wants to do that? Yeah, and the recon drone, it kind of sucks. It depends on the scenario. I've had some good luck with it though, where for some reason it's explosive points on those recon drones for some reason they go down really easy with the sniper, and I'm not sure what's exactly behind that because I would imagine there are health damage and I don't know. But even if I don't have a headhunter stack, it's only a couple of shots out of like the White Death or something. So it doesn't, for some reason, that part of it is pretty reasonable. But the other thing you could do is, if you got enough enemies out in the field, again, this is the planning part of sniper, right? You take out one or two guys, then you transition that damage over to the copter. Take out a couple of guys, transition that damage. Then you're hitting that copter at about 15, 20 million a shot. And then you can EMP it in between that. But yeah, that requires planning, Or you could just pull out your assault rifle and wail on it. Yeah, But I like in a perfect world, I like a mixed combo. It's just like, hey, you guys focus on the drone copters. I'll take out all the NPCs. Because NPCs are easy targets for snipers, right? It's like they come running at you straight out of cover. It's just like ping, ping, ping. And legendary sniping is even easier. Situational aside, but just from an enemy mix perspective, they're all non-elites. They're veterans and normals. You only have one or two elites spread into every checkpoint. So yeah, so it's really easier, and chungas aren't that big of a challenge for snipers, unless you just really get pinned down, which is typically because of the other NPCs. But you can still get pinned down by chungas, just sitting there laying in on you. But chungas, you 2-3 shot those guys. They're slow. They're bigger targets. Once you break their helmet, their heads go down pretty easy. But in a 10 million shot, which is pretty basic. Has anybody been on a team where all 4 people are running St. Elmo's? How does that go? That's a good version, Tap, running Technician on it. Especially if you maybe have a version with and without Technician saved in your loadout. So then when you get to the end phase, you just switch to the Technician version, pick up the extra skill tier, use your EMP sticky. Yeah, I use that 1886 determined combo a lot. Deal. That's what I was saying. That was kind of part of that rifle conversation. I would like a rifle that is like in that 1886 class that can be used in that designated marksman rifle category. Where you can be like, wham, 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 wham. I mean, I want to 1-2 shot everybody. In 1886, it does it all perfectly, but you know, there's no scopes on it and there's no blah. So I want something in that crossover class. And I would, it'd be really cool if it was in an exotic. It was something clean. Maybe it was a reload situation. Maybe it was a small mag with an auto reload. Oh, that would be my dream gun. You understand? Like it's like a stronger M1A CQB that maybe's got 7 rounds in the mag and headshot kills refill the mag. That's it. That's all I need. You know? But it's got to have the base damage. So, you know what I mean? It's got to be strong enough to be able to do that. And the 1886 is strong enough. The M1A CQB is not. And the M1A is sort of. It can on a certain setup. But so do I, Grumps. Yeah, I should, Rising. You know, I'm going to try that Poopy Pants build with the new SMG, right? That's the same gun. That's the same gun, Rising. We were talking about that earlier. Although I agree, we talked about that in one of these legendary gameplays. I was like, do you ever notice it's the new guy? It's not always the new guy, but it tends to be by reputation. And that's my advice to new players is it's like, don't lead, follow. You shouldn't be the tip of spear as the new player. And I'm not saying I'm better than you because my watch is bigger, but I'm saying it's just like, it's always the new guy that opens the door when nobody's ready. And he runs in there and kicks off everybody. All of a sudden we have rushers in our face and everybody dead and we have to pick him up. You know what I mean? And it's just like, or we go in a room and he's the guy that's closest to the enemies, you know, instead of playing a little bit where we are or behind us or next to us, you know, and that might just because he doesn't know any better, but that's what I would look out for if you're new. Just follow, notice where people are choosing to cover that seem to have been playing that mission a lot or whatever. You might learn something there, but yeah, with randoms, it irritates me with Legend. I mean, I try to be laid back about it, but after a couple of rooms and I keep picking that guy up who keeps opening the door before we're ready as if there's something wrong with us. You know what I mean? The rest of the team, I'm sorry, the rest of the team is, you know, grabbing ammo and picking up our gear before we run into that next room. We're not taking forever. Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? It's just like, it takes us 20 seconds. You can't wait 20 seconds? You know what I mean? It's not taking 30 minutes. I like to play fast too. So, you know what I mean? Because the way I look at it is I got memento buffs, I got a sniper buff, or I got a weapon, whatever, you know what I mean? And I don't want those things to expire. I want to carry all the damage I earned from one checkpoint into the next checkpoint as an advantage. And so to let everything cool down is not always to your best interest. Even if you're waiting for your skills to come back, get in there. You know what I mean? Get in there if you got something earned, you know? Your skills will come in a couple of seconds. But so my point is like, yeah, I want to play too. I want to play fast too, but you know, as a system of respect in this game, it's sort of like an unspoken respect, right? I advise you wait, let the leader lead, let the leader open the door. You know what I mean? And it's like not an ego thing. It's not like it's just a respect for the entire team thing. If we all agree on that as a general rule in the community or guideline, I should say, then things just always go smoother. Everybody tends to be ready. You can kind of read the room. Everybody, the commander looks like, oh, everybody's waiting for me. Cool. Okay, so I'm the one setting the pace, as it should be. You know, even in casual gameplay, just because, you know, somebody could be picking their nose, next thing you know, they got a rusher in their face, you know? Sometimes you got to pick your nose. Sometimes you got to pick it. Speaking of picking noses, all right, I got to run, everybody. It's getting late for me. I'm getting hot over here too, so it's encouraging me to bounce. Appreciate you guys. I will catch you tomorrow, which is my Saturday. I don't know, Sunday if you're in Australia. All right, everybody, I'll catch you later. Have a good night.